Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, April 12th, 2015. This is episode 1178. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code TechGuy when you check out. Well, hey, how are you today? Oh, it's time, yes, once again, to talk high-tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photog, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside of that area, well, you just call me on Skype, and we'll be able to get you on the air here. Talk about anything on your mind. If it's got a chip in it, it's meat for the table. So this is a tough night for TV watchers. You've got Game of Thrones debuts tonight, followed by Silicon Valley and Veep. That's on HBO, but AMC's got another episode 2 of Mad Men tonight. And then what? I can't hear you. You have to shout. Heather Hammond is in a soundproof booth, ready to play the $64,000 question. There's another show tonight. So the geeks. So it's interesting because I think this is a side effect of DVRs, of TiVo, of your cable box and all that, and on demand in particular, because companies used to worry about stuff like that. Oh, we can't do Mad Men because you'll be across from Game of Thrones. Sometimes they go against each other. One would be a winner, one would be a loser. Oh, I know what it is. The Good Wife. So those are all on at the same time, and you have to choose. Or do you? No, you don't. And that's what's changed so much in our television world. They don't care. It doesn't matter when it comes out. Although it's nice to have a big rollout. We'll be watching with interest because this is also the rollout of HBO's new, what they call over-the-top app. Over-the-top means they get to you not through cable but through the internet, and you don't need a cable company subscription to subscribe to HBO anymore. You can use, if you have an Apple device, iPod or iPad or iPhone or Apple TV, you can, for $15 a month, subscribe to HBO Now and see Game of Thrones tonight and Veep and Silicon Valley. Now, of course, we're all going to watch with interest because there's going to be intense. This is, and the last time HBO did this, it was everything went to heck in the handbasket. It was just a mess. HBO had commissioned, had built a whole branch of HBO up in Seattle. They'd hired people away from Amazon and spent millions of dollars to do a streaming team with servers and stuff, and they failed miserably. So this time HBO said, no, we're not going to do it ourselves. We're going to have the MLB network do it. Major League Baseball does a lot of streaming with the At-Bat app. We're going to let MLB do it. So the pressures, you got to think, this is if you're listening right now and you're an engineer and you're in the knock at the Major League Baseball headquarters there, good luck tonight. Good luck. Because nothing makes people more angry. You know, they're paying $15 so they can watch Game of Thrones, and then it stutters. And this is not unusual. Sling TV's had some stuttering issues with the March Madness. Remember? Everybody watching the big NCAA basketball tournament this month, or last month, I guess it was, and there was a lot of stuttering and buffering, and people were very upset. The thing that's different about watching television on an antenna or cable and watching television on the internet is, well, the antenna and cable is kind of in between. But if you're watching on an antenna, 1 million people can watch. It doesn't make the antenna less, effective. Your transmitter, if you're listening to this show on a radio station, as most of you are, if 1 billion people listen, and boy, that would be great, it wouldn't make any difference. You wouldn't stutter. You wouldn't have buffering because it doesn't matter. It's flying through the air. You're just catching it as it goes by. But the cable, and to a lesser extent, and internet to a great extent, is very different. It's upside down. Every single person who's watching the Game of Thrones on HBO Now or on an internet stream is taxing the network, is actually, in effect, downloading a massive file the entire time. That's what the buffering is the download couldn't keep up with your viewing. So it had to wait and said, okay, now we can get going again. That's what the stuttering means. It's you know, it's not keeping up. And we've seen this happen. Even Apple had this happen with their iPhone 6 announcement, right? It was a mess. It can happen. So it's very difficult to do. Now, I guess HBO is breathing a sigh of relief because it turns out the first 4 Game of Thrones Season 5 episodes are already on the pirate sites. So, whew, that's a... Oh, they're not relieved? Whew, I don't have to worry. All of those people will just be watching at home on their own dime. You know, for the last year or so, I think several years, Game of Thrones, and if you haven't seen it, it's just a sword and sorcery epic and very complicated, lots of sex and violence, and the geeks love it. But for the last few years, because the geeks love it, it's been the #1 pirated program. I don't think that that's affected HBO's bottom line, I have to say, but of course I'm sure they think it is. And now the first 5 episodes have leaked out, and I think the reason, or 4 have leaked out, and I think the reason they think they've leaked out is because their 4 episodes are sent to reviewers, to the television critics. Somebody must have left theirs on a bar somewhere, left the DVD on the bar. They're not high def; they're SD, standard definition. So I think most people are. You know what I think is going to happen? Look, I pay for HBO. If I watch it, is that a loss to HBO? No, because I'm already paying for HBO. It's only people who say, "Oh, I don't have to pay for HBO because I can watch it on I can watch a BitTorrent version of it." And I wonder how much. Maybe they lose some business. Maybe they lose some business. Well, anyway, good news, HBO. The stress test isn't going to be as bad. Whew, whatever. Pirates already got the first 4. You don't have to worry till episode 5. Everybody's watching Hillary Clinton's Twitter. They're curious, will she announce on Twitter or will she announce in a press conference, or will it be both at the same time? Of course, we've got a presidential campaign coming up in the United States next year, and it starts now and goes on forever. But I think that this is going to be, and we say this every 4 years, this is going to be the most social media, digital forward campaign ever. A lot of it will be fought on the internet. I think that's true. And I think Ms. Clinton's team is they already have hired some very smart people to run the digital campaigns. They hired away somebody from Google to do it. I think they know what they're going to be doing. Very important, if you're running Macintosh computers, you update to 10.10.3. It came out this week, the latest version of Yosemite. I got to warn you, they're going to get rid of iPhoto, and they're going to replace it with something called Photos, and there's going to be some weirdness. But you have to do it because there's a massive flaw in OS X that allows a bad guy to get administrator privileges on your machine and do anything they want remotely. It's a bad one. Here's the worst news. They're going to fix it on Yosemite, but they're not going to fix it on anything earlier. So if you have lion, mountain lion, snow leopard, leopard, Mavericks even, 10.9, Apple says it's too much work. We're not going to fix it. Apple told the press the fix required a substantial amount of changes, and a patch would not likely be backported for OS X 10.9, which of course is Mavericks or earlier. Wow, that is kind of a slap in the face, because I know many of you can't upgrade because you have older hardware, and some of you haven't. Now the good news is a free upgrade. So if you can upgrade, you probably should to OS 10.10, and then it will push you up to 10.10.3 to fix that patch. The rest of you, just get off the internet. You're in the way anyway. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So
Use
this
the promo code Leo to get your
I
free
love this new
bonus ones.
Galaxy
2 free
S6
bonus
phone,
ones
but
at
it's got the battery life of a gnat.
CARBONIT.
I'm getting quick charge.
These pictures.
Yeah, I don't want those pic. What pictures? What are you talking about? So I got like 4 quick chargers to throw everywhere. And then there's a company called Aukey that makes a battery. See, now this is the key. If I can get a battery pack, what do you need?
Would it be the profile? Is that in the right profile? I'm assuming.
Maybe that's it. Talk to me.
It just went
It was
on.
in the wrong profile.
What was it?
It was in the wrong profile. Simple. Burke is a genius, as you've probably noticed. Hey, Anthony. Hey, your name here. These are some more. I got... How many did I get here? Quick charge. Oh, this is a 30 watt. Now, so all the quick charges I've seen are 18 watts. This sucker is a 30 watt, which means it'll probably explode the phone. But I'm willing. Wow, 30 watts. Do you think it will charge almost twice as fast as an 18 watter? Who knows? Who knows? But let's try it. So right now, let's see what it says here. Go away. All right. Right now it says fast charging, 81%, 33 minutes till full. Now let's see what happens here. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that number is meaningless anyway. I mean, maybe they just make it up. But it'd be fun if it said 5 minutes till full.
That would be cool.
That would be really cool. Charger connected. Fast charging. 81%, 33 minutes till full. Oh, well. Oh, well. I thought if I threw more watts at it, it would... at least it's seen as a fast charger, so that's good. We'll see, because I'll see. Yeah. Well, you know, it's very confusing. So there's a quick charge spec that Qualcomm does. Quick Charge 2.0, and these are Quick Charge 2.0 compatible. But, obviously, it's Samsung, and they're not using a Qualcomm chip. They're using their own chip. So it's... And my question is quick charging just more watts, or is there something else going on? I think it's just more watts. There's no magic sensor chip or something in there. So we shall see. Can't take the battery out of the phone. That's the problem. It does seem to be filling up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's the price you gotta pay. Apple came out with this new MacBook this week. Maybe you should just throw away that year-old Macintosh and get a new one. Oh, you can't do it because the software you use won't work with 10.10. Ah, that's an interesting conundrum. I guess Apple wants to push everybody to the latest version of the operating system. I mean, that's what Microsoft's doing, too, by giving away Windows 10 later this year. But I think they need to. I think just for the health of the internet, it's not just an individual user running an older version of the operating system, but it's all those millions of individual users together who, if they get infected, could you know, it's very analogous to public health, to inoculations. You know, if people make sure that their system is secure and safe, they're less likely to infect the rest of us. I think it's Apple's duty, in a way, to patch these older versions. No, it's not like you can go to Windows and it's all better. So I don't know what the answer is. 8888 ask Leo. Just beware. Beware and be wary. 888-827-5536. Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, is here, dressed in white, looking ready like the May Queen, ready for spring to erupt. It's spring is coming now.
It's exploding.
Now, what's sad about it is we didn't get enough winter weather here in California. Apparently, it's a giant pool of hot water out there in the ocean, 3 degrees hotter, that's causing this drought. And they thought it'd be gone by now, but it's sticking around.
Can't count on that.
It's a high-pressure
beer,
zone
not water.
where a low-pressure zone should not exist. That's okay. I'll do that. I'll do that. I see you've lined up some wonderful callers for us.
Indeed.
Is there anyone in particular I should hustle to?
Yeah, I found Jeff in Belgrade, Serbia, who's actually talking about what you were talking about at the top of the show.
Wow, we're getting the international callers this weekend. I love that. Hi, Jeff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Welcome.
Hi, Leo. Good morning.
Good morning.
So,
although it's nighttime for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost 8:30.
Are you Serbian? You sound like you have no accent. You sound like you might be from the States.
Yeah, I was born born in California, live in North Carolina.
But you're there for work or pleasure?
Yeah, I'm here working for a couple weeks.
Great. How's it been?
It's an amazing place. It's maybe my 7th or 8th trip here. I'm doing some consulting work, and I love it.
Yeah, I've heard Belgrade is beautiful.
It's just amazing, really amazing.
Well, good.
You need to try it out.
Oh, I will. That's definitely on my list. So what can I do for you?
So do I remember correctly hearing you say recently that you own a TIVO Roamio Pro?
I do.
Okay, can you discuss the pluses and minuses of that gadget versus Sling and any of the other alternatives for streaming from my home?
Right. So the Roamio, the TiVo. So first of all, TiVo is the original DVR, going back many, many years. They were the ones who kind of popularized the idea of recording not on a video cassette but on a hard drive. And I've been a TiVo fan since the very first one. In fact, I wrote a book on the first edition TiVo, Hacking Your TiVo. So I love TiVos, and I was very glad to get back to it because, you know, what happens, unfortunately, is cable companies have their own digital video recorders, and it's a lot easier to use theirs, but they're not as good. And I keep hoping for the best, but they're just the user interface. In so many ways, they're not as good. So I was really pleased to go back to TiVo. Now, the key on using a TiVo with your cable company is it has a cable card slot. So you go to the cable company and you say, I need a cable card, and that turns the TiVo into a set-top box. So that's one advantage TiVo has if you're a cable customer. You can put the cable card in there, and you don't need any box from the cable company. You now have what you need to get on the cable and watch encrypted shows and stuff like that. TiVo has a very nice user interface. They still have the thumbs up, thumbs down. You can up to 3 times thumbs up or thumbs down a show, and it will then do a thing that's kind of amazing. And it's always been kind of controversial. It will record shows for you automatically. They call it TiVo Suggestions. So you could still say, you know, I want to record Game of Thrones, but it will also record stuff it thinks you might be interested in, up to the capacity of the drive. And the new TiVos are huge drives. So most of it's stuff I don't want to watch. I don't care. It'll erase it when it needs the space. But sometimes it hits something that I forgot or didn't know about, and I go, wow, that's great. So it gives you a broader variety of choices, and I like that. It also has, because it's a Roamio, that Sling TV capability you're talking about, the ability to stream over your house network to another device, including a tablet, a computer, that kind of thing.
So what do you think in terms of the Roamio Pro compared with Slingbox?
What do you use to get your TV? Are you a cable subscriber?
Yeah, it's Time Warner.
Okay. The Sling is, well, there's 2 ways to go with Sling. Dish owns Sling. So if you have a Dish TV, you'll have the Sling capabilities built into your Dish box. But since you're a cable customer, you'll be getting a standalone Sling unit that will then have to be hooked up to your TV system. So that can add some complexity, and it depends on what you've got. If you've got a lot of different devices and so forth. And then you also have to hook it up to your internet. They do now have Wi-Fi capable slings as well as the hardwired slings. And then the nice thing about the Sling is you can go out and watch it anywhere over the internet. Depending on your internet capability, it can look quite good. Of course, if the internet's slow, it's not going to look great. TiVo does that as well, although I haven't used that. But both will allow you to stream within the house and on the internet. I'd say they're very similar.
I've got gigabit wired every place.
Yeah, nice. You'll love it.
So which would you
I would get the TiVo in this case because it's easier. It becomes your set-top box. It's integrated in. I think in terms of functionality, it's very similar to Sling.
But the TiVo has a subscription, right?
Oh, I forgot. That's a big disadvantage. Yeah, there's no subscription for Sling, and there is. Now. See, the reason I forgot that is I bought a lifetime subscription on my Roamio Pro, which was expensive, several $100, and then that's done with. But yes, otherwise you pay a fairly hefty monthly fee, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. They say that's to pay for the channel guide, but I think that's just pure profit.
So if I don't need the DVR function, then Sling is the way to go.
Exactly right.
There's no subscription, right?
And nowadays, because everybody has on demand, I don't use the DVR as much as I used to. I don't need the DVR Game of Thrones tonight because it'll be on demand.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit better to record network programming. You don't have to watch as we go into a commercial. You should watch the commercials. You shouldn't. You shouldn't skip. So yeah, the monthly fee. I'm glad you mentioned that. Is a big disadvantage, Jeff. Hey, great to talk to you in Belgrade. That's wonderful. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Yeah, the monthly fee is kind of a killer, isn't it? I forgot.
Lifetime subscription on and off. First one, they let me upgrade. If I upgraded to a new one, they let me keep.
They can't. They covered it.
But not on Roamio. They're not doing that.
That's not. Yeah, I bet not. It was expensive too.
I paid $150. I
think it was $250. Excuse me.
Now I think it's $400 or $500.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to get a. You can also stream externally. Yes, I know that. And download shows for offline viewing on iOS. That's cool. The TiVo to Go thing. Mike's always been a big fan of the TiVo. Now somebody was asking me.
I'm on DirecTV now, and I haven't used it since.
Yeah. I mean, I think the cable companies and you can't. Can you use it with the DirecTV, or do you have to?
I don't know whether you could or not, but they've got the 30-second skip.
Yeah.
You know,
they get all the stuff you want. Yeah. Who cares?
It pretty much worked
right.
for me. I did like the fact that it recorded suggestions, though. I mean, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Of course, for a while I thought I was black because I live in my zip code.
Oh, you get the weirdest things. There was an article some years ago, TiVo thinks I'm gay because he watched a few shows and all of a sudden TiVo's giving him all these shows. Yeah, it's the as usual, recommendation algorithms are not very good, even on TiVo. So DDDDD, we did talk about the watch, of course. Why do you think it's supply issues and not demand, although I'm not sure how that would be distinct? Did somebody tell you that, or you've decided that? I'm going to put in my contact lenses. Things are brewing at the brick house. No, I'm getting on an airplane right after TWIT because we have to fly to the Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters show. I am presenting tomorrow. Should mention that, shouldn't I? Give it a little plug. Yeah. International streaming. I married my manager too. Isn't that sweet? Are you ready to talk about Apple Photos, Chris? Either one is fine. Either one is great. I'm up for either one. Yeah, I think we're going to stream. Are we going to stream it? Yeah.
Yes,
I think it's on our calendar. Yeah, I think we're going to stream it tomorrow on Twitch. That's the plan, anyway. It's a New Tech TriCaster event, so they're going to TriCast it. Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows whether the issue with the watch is, I mean, it's meaningless to say it's whether it's supply or demand. That's meaningless. I think what they mean to say is demand wasn't that great. They just didn't have a lot of them in stock. But I think that's wrong. I think they obviously didn't have enough in stock. They could have, and this is often the case with Apple. They underestimated, whether it's because they can't make them fast enough. I doubt that. They have such great manufacturing ability. I think it's much more likely they underestimated the demand. The rumor was they made $5.5 million for this first onslaught, and that obviously wasn't enough. But it's only 5 weeks to get they're only 5 weeks delayed, so it's not too bad. No, that's for sure true. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, the Shotgun Willie of high tech. 88. But I did put pants on for the show today. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We're talking in the chat room during the break about the Apple Watch. Of course, it went on sale for the first time on Friday. Knowing how it is with Apple, that if you snooze, you lose. I set the alarm for midnight. Boy, I feel for you if you're not in the California time zone. It would be 3 a.m. on the East Coast. But I set the alarm to jump up and order because you just don't know. And it's happened to me enough so that I know this, that sometimes you say, oh, I'll order it in the morning or I'll go into the store, and you get there and they say, yeah, sure, you can order it. It'll come in August. Well, I guess that happened this time because I overslept. I got up at 12:09 a.m. On Friday. What are you laughing at, Burke? 12:09 a.m. I had an alarm set, but it was off, and so fortunately, my body knows that I have a body finally attuned to the wants and needs of the Apple fan, and it woke me up. It said, "Hey, Leo, wake up!" And I leapt out of bed, or ran down to my computer, which I had preset. In fact, I posted this on Instagram. I had preset because I had an iPhone and iPad both running the App Store app. Because often, at least last time with the iPhone 6, that was the only way to get it. And then I also had on my computer preloaded the Apple Store. So I had it all set up. I, of course, immediately jumped to the computer. I had favorited. I want to get 2 watches, one for me, one for my wife, because we have to send each other our heartbeats and our cute little drawings. And aw, so I had to get 2. And I had favorited the 2, the one for her, the 38 millimeter stainless steel with Milanese loop. I myself wanted the slightly larger 42 millimeter. Yeah, that's like $600. 42 millimeter with Milanese loop. It's crazy. But hey, you know, I do this for you so that I can, you know, tell you about it. And I am not in the special core of Apple, the Apple press. People like Joanna Stern at the Wall Street Journal and Nilay Patel at The Verge, Joshua Topolsky at Bloomberg. These people all got watches, you know, ahead of time. I have to go and buy one. That's fine. I prefer it that way. That way I don't get any nasty calls from Tim Cook's secretary saying, we gave you a watch and you did not like it. Can you fix that? No, I'm going to be like a normal person. And also there's an advantage to suffering. So you see, if you don't buy the watch, it's a different experience. Somebody just hands you the watch. It's a different experience if you lay down $650 for that watch. There's a different expectation. There's a different experience. Then you can really, with some authority, say it's worth it or not. Otherwise, it's, well, let me imagine what it would be like if I actually bought this. No, I don't have to imagine. I did. So within 10 minutes, because here it is, midnight, 12:10. I don't know when the store opened. It was shortly after midnight. Within 10 minutes, they were already almost sold out. I was able to get Lisa, my wife, her 38 millimeter for delivery a week from Friday. That's as soon as anybody's going to get it. That's when Apple says we're going to ship them. It's April 24th. Mine's pushed, you know, till May. And now if you go to the Apple Store, you can't, by the way, go to the Apple Store and buy one. You can't walk in the door and say, I'd like to buy a watch, unless you're going to buy that $17,000 one. I bet you could go in there with your American Express Gold card in hand. Say, I'll take that. Although if you try to do it online, they were saying August for the $17,000, the Gold watch. Now they're saying June for everything. So the question people are asking, none of this matters at all. Except that the question people are saying is, did Apple not make enough? Or was demand higher than Apple expected? Is there, for some reason, is it a constrained supply? They can't make enough because there's not enough gold in the world or something. Or their manufacture process is so complicated, which it is. They say it takes 9 hours to mill the links for the link band. 9 hours per band. So, yeah, you might think that would be kind of hard to make enough of those. My guess, no one knows. Absolutely no one knows. My guess would be Apple made, we'd heard the rumor, 5.5 million, and they sold them all. So my guess would be that Apple underestimated, or intentionally, you don't want to be stuck with a lot of extra watches either. And there's a certain value. Look, sometimes people think, oh, Apple intentionally doesn't make enough because then it increases the passion to get one. It fuels the need to get one. And I don't think Apple or any company does that. They would like to sell a watch to every single person who comes cash in hand. Believe me. And if it's 100 million people, they would love to sell 100 million watches. But my best guess is they had 5 million, thereabouts. They thought that might be enough for the first few weeks, and they sold them. Now, they're ramping up production, obviously, and they'll be in 5 weeks. They'll start to send another container will come from China, and they can start. And so I think this is very much like what happened with the iPhone 6. It was difficult to get in the first few months, and it didn't really ease up for a while. I mean, it was a long time before you could walk in a store and say, I'd like an iPhone 6. And I think it'll be that way for the watch. Now, the real question is it worth it? And I can't tell you that until I've had it for a while. So I'll have a first look at it in 2 weeks, and then give me a week or two to wear it day in, day out. And we'll let you know. I think it's I've been reading all the reviews, and people have mixed feelings about it. Battery life it's going to be tough to get through a day, especially those first few days when you play with the thing all the time. But there's some amazing things. You know, they have there have several watch faces. And by the way, only Apple can make watch faces at this time. One of them is a blooming flower. And there's several different blooms, and there's a jellyfish in there for, I don't know why. Apple built a tank to hold, they didn't go to the aquarium and shoot the jellyfish. No. That's not the Apple way. They built a tank in the Apple offices to hold jellyfish, and then they used a very expensive, super high-speed camera called a Phantom, many hundreds of thousands of dollars for this thing, and they used it to shoot super high frame rate images of the flower blooming and of the jellyfish going, and then they somehow, with magic, put it in the watch so that you can have that animation on your watch. This is the kind of thing Apple can do because they've got, they got some money, and I think that this is now their reputation for just like going to insane lengths. Does it make it a better experience? Well, maybe it makes it a prettier experience. I don't know if it makes it a better watch. Hey, we shall see. Could be a fad. Could be like somebody in the chat room saying it's just like the Fitbit. Jay Spin said it's just like the Fitbit. Everybody's going to wear it, and then everybody's going to get tired of it. Could be. Although, let's face it, the Fitbit was just basically a glorified pedometer. That's all it was. The Apple Watch is a thing of beauty and a joy to behold. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to Spokane. Kevin is on the line. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Leo. Good day. Thank you for taking my call. And I just want to say I appreciate you getting up at midnight, dealing with Apple.
I did it for you.
Thank you.
It wasn't as hard. It wasn't as difficult as getting an iPhone. But, boy, I was really amazed that within 10 minutes they sold out. That's amazing.
I never could justify the Apple Premium, as I call it, so I'm stuck with Windows.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I'm just a few years old, and I think it's getting long in the tooth, and I got a 500 gig hard drive on this HP laptop. And lately I've been getting messages saying that I've got no disk space left.
Oh.
And I find it very hard to believe, I find it very hard to believe that I'm taking up all the room. And sure enough, I look in my folder, and I've only got about 125 gigs.
Let's take a break. I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you exactly how to find out where all that storage is going and to tell you what you can get rid of and what you can't. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by My Razor. Did you notice? You probably didn't. How cleanly shaved I am. How soft and supple my skin is. That's all due to Harry. Harry's gives you a great shave. And, by the way, for a fraction of the price, I want you to go to harrys.com to take a look. Harry's is one of those companies, you know, the internet has made possible because they wanted to make the best possible razor blades and ship them direct to you. They did a little research as they started up. It was started by one of the guys who did Warby Parker, actually. And they found out there were 2 factories in the whole wide world that make the best blades. And, of course, they're both in Germany. I think they're in Solingen, which is where the best knives are also made. Harry's said, well, let's just buy one of them. That way we can spec out blades to our specifications. We can design them for sharpness and high performance. And by eliminating the middleman, shipping them direct to you, we can get the price way down, like half what it costs to buy a razor blade in the drugstore. If you're buying Gillette Fusion blades for $4 a blade, Harry's is going to save you big. You start with the Harry's kit, and I love these kits. You see the Truman, $15, the Winston for $25. I'm a big Winston fan. All of my kits are Winstons, but you know, Steve Gibson is a major fan of the Truman. I'm not sure what we have here. This is what the kit looks like. Every kit includes a handle, whether it's the metal handle of the Winston, like that's the Winston, or the plastic handle in colors, different colors, on the Truman. Steve likes the plastic handle because it's got a flat part so you know which the orientation is, and he likes it because it's warm. This is a little cool when it first starts, but of course you run it under the hot water and it heats up nicely. It comes with the handle, 3 blades, which I love, and these are those great Harry's blades. You know, I've never cut myself with a Harry's. I've been using them for, I guess it's a year now. So 3 of those blades, you get the great travel cover, which is, you know, they never talk about this. I love this travel cover. And, of course, your choice of Harry's Shave Cream, which I still use, or the new Foaming Shave Gel. If you're a gel user, you'll love the Foaming Shave Gel. Not only smells great, it really gives you a clean shave. Harry's is great. So once you get the kit, then sign up for the regular delivery of blades. You'll never run out of blades again. You'll always have a sharp blade. You get in the habit, and I love this, of change. I change my blade every Monday. That's what the beginning of the week does for me. Every Monday, new blade, because I always know I'm going to get new ones from Harry's in the mail. A great deal on razor blades, the best razor blades in the world. While you're there, you might want to check out Harry's Aftershave Moisturizer. I love that. And I got a little deal for you. If you use our offer code TechGuy at your checkout, you're going to get $5 off your first purchase. So that makes the Truman kit a really good deal. $10. 3 blades, a handle, all the shave cream for $10. You couldn't go wrong. Harry's, HARRYS.com. Use the code TechGuy at checkout. And don't forget to sign up for your monthly box or your bi-monthly box so you always have nice, fresh blades. Harry's! My Apple Watch is not delayed. I'm getting it. Well, one is. Did you get when they told you the delivery date, are you saying that since they sent you an email with the delivery date, they sent it later? That would be bad. That would be bad. I don't think I've received an email from Apple since I ordered it. Your order is being processed. Thank you for your order. Item 1 ships 4/24 through 5/8 by standard shipping. Item 2, and I'm hoping that they mean 4/24. That's what they told everybody, right? And then the second one, May 13th through 27th. So they give you a 2-week range. Oh, I know what I wanted to find. What is the name of that Windows file? Graphical file view. Winderstat. 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 There's also a Space Sniffer, Space Monger, Tree Size. I think Winderstat is the one I want to recommend.
Space Monger is the one Steve recommended.
He does? Well, if Steve recommends it, that gives it a new...
It's not easy.
It is? It's not free. Winderstat. Oh, they do? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 ask Leah. We were talking to Kevin in Spokane, whose 500 gig hard drive is already full, even though his own data is only about 100 gigs. Windows itself is, 40 or 50 gigs at most, unless you install a lot of applications. So you're right, something's eating up your space.
Leo, I did find it. I was snooping around, and I found in the Windows folder, there's a temp folder, and in that, there's 266 gigs of stuff.
Holy cow.
I like to think. And most of that, 265 gigs of the 266, is files for almost 4,800 files that don't have an extension. It's just a string of characters. And so I want to delete these.
Yeah, I think you could do so.
I thought I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, that you don't need stuff in the temp folder.
Yeah, the temp, I mean, by implication, the temp folder is just for temp files. I don't know why they're sticking around. That's ridiculous. So the best way to do this, by the way, is not while a program's running, obviously, because if you delete all the temp files, one of them may belong to a program that's running, and it could cause it to crash. But that is something. There's something wrong there.
Well, this machine is kind of old, and these files have built up over the years. And I'm not saying they're temp files because there's no extension. They're in the temp folder.
Yeah.
There are a lot of temp files, but they're, like I said, most of them are these unnamed.
Yeah. Some program is making those and is not cleaning up after itself. You've got a slob program. Okay. Windows comes with a program called Disk Cleanup that would be the easiest way to get rid of this.
That.
Yeah.
I've run that. It doesn't allow me to clean up the temp folder. It does allow me to clean up the copies of updates, which I've done several times, and I'm out of. And then the rest, it tells me to clean up my own stuff. It blames me, Leo.
Isn't that funny?
This is giving me the option to clean up.
Isn't that funny? What version of Windows did you say?
This is 7.
I have to think there's some rogue program that is really creating a lot of temp files and not deleting them. I think you could just delete them by hand. They're temp files. The only risk is that a program is open right now that has some temp files it needs, and then it'll crash and no big deal. So what I would suggest is reboot the computer, delete everything in the temp folder, then reboot it again, and you're probably all right. I can't think of any reason. And then watch what's going on in future to see what it is that's causing that. Because there's probably a program, that's doing it.
Windows.
Yeah. Windows. Well, no, it could be some other program. Do you run any special, unusual programs for your business, anything like that?
No, nothing out of the ordinary.
There's one. I was going to tell you about a great program. You may already know about it, called WinDirStat, which you can get for free at WinDirStat, WinDirstat.info. And it gives you a beautiful graphical display of what's using up space, and it has colors, so you can see exactly what kinds of files are the giant files, and that's useful to have anyway. Everybody should. There's one on Macintosh Disk Inventory X, or Grand Perspective does the same thing. Linux has its own version called KDirStat. These are very useful tools for visualizing why your drive is full. But I can't think of it. And let me ask you in the chat room. Some people are saying, well, to be absolutely safe, maybe you would want to copy all 256 gigs of temp files to another drive, just in case. But I don't think so. If the convention is, if you put something in the temp folder, you expect it to be deleted. That's just the way it is. And I would, I would delete it. Yeah.
Okay. I can do the copying too. In fact, I probably will.
If you really wanted to be extra prudent, but I can't imagine there'd be anything in there. It's not. You're not supposed to put stuff in there. If you had a program that crashed a lot, because usually programs on exit clean these up, and if it crashed a lot, it would leave stuff behind. What you don't want to do is delete things like the page file, the Windows page file. That will be large as your RAM. I'm sorry, much larger than your RAM. Several can be that big, but that wouldn't be in the temp folder, so I wouldn't worry about that.
right.
Yeah, get rid of it and let me know. Send me an email, leo@techguylabs.com, and let me know what happens. Speaking of that, techguylabs.com is the website where you can get all the information. And if you have a comment about temp folders and why they get full, that's an awful. Half his hard drive is dedicated to one temp folder. That's crazy. You can leave a comment there as well. No charge, no sign up. techguylabs.com. We don't have to charge you because we've got great sponsors. Rick in Baltimore, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's good to talk with you. I spend far, far too much time every week listening to you.
No, I disagree. That you spend exactly the right amount of time listening.
But I get so much out of it, and
Thank you.
I have such warm feelings for you. I think of you as a buddy.
You know, it's one of the great blessings of doing this. I feel the same way, by the way. Is every day we have people come in the studio. We've got 2 people here today, and when you're geeks and you meet, you know you've got a lot in common, right?
That's right.
I have friends I've never met all over the world. I love that.
Yeah, that's
what a
neat.
Blessing that is.
Yeah, it is. It really is. You ready for the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay, this love fest must end at some point, I guess. Go ahead.
Well, also, by the way, I was up at the same time you were ordering an an Apple Watch.
Did you?
Yeah, and so I got up at 3 o'clock. Which
East Coast? Yeah.
Yeah, East Coast, or a little before 3, and I couldn't get in until a minute after.
Yeah.
But then I was set up and ready to order it, as you were, with the little heart thing chosen. And so by 4 minutes after I was done.
Nice job. And you got it. You're going to get it on the 24th.
24th to the 8th, yeah.
Yeah, all of them said that. I guess that's Apple just hedging its bets. I'm not sure why they give you a 2-week window.
Well, like you, I'm hoping for it on the 24th.
Yeah. If we get it, and I know you watch, so if we get it, we'll do an unboxing together. You can unbox yours while I unbox mine.
There you go.
Lisa says I can wear hers until mine comes.
Okay.
That's a good woman, I'll tell you. That's
good. You're a lucky man.
I'm a lucky man. Actually, truth is, I made her get the watch. I don't think she ever wants to wear it, but
yeah.
But I said, "But honey, how can I send you my heartbeat?"
That's right.
Yeah, I don't care really. I don't want your heartbeat.
Those are the kinds of things that she probably doesn't mind you making her do.
Yeah. Well, I bought it for her, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Well, iTunes is frustrating me a little bit.
Oh.
I've been using it. I've been using it since '09, I guess, but it won't. It has a mind of its own. It wants to manage my personal music.
Yes.
I try to put on some music that I've recorded or that I ripped from my phono, my vinyl, and it just drops what it wants to drop. So I'm asking you if there's a substitute for iTunes. I don't use the cloud. Is there a substitute I can sync with that will allow me more control over my music and my podcast?
You know, because iTunes is so dominant on the Apple side and everybody has it, the ecosystem of alternatives dried up. There's one I use that I like a lot. It's in the Apple Store. I don't think it's very expensive, called Vox, V-O-X. We're going to take a break. You don't have to hang on. Just keep listening, Rick, and I'll see if we can find some other alternatives. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm not going to get the pink watch. Apple, the only thing I'm hoping is that maybe when Apple releases Beats, that they have in secret for 2 years been rewriting iTunes, right? And they'll just say whole new music experience. I feel like that's a possibility. And that needs to be, because iTunes is really long in the tooth. It's just a mess. Just a mess. Do you think it'll happen, Liz? I hope so. So Chuck's been here before. Is this your first time here, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. Chuck was in the cottage. You're lucky you saw that. I think that was yeah, that's gone now.
I got some pictures. I aim to make a couple of copies.
If you have anything good, let me know, because we're collecting. In fact, this is for everybody. John Slanina, my studio manager, wants to do a slideshow, because, next Sunday is our 10th anniversary show. And he wants to do some pictures from the cottage especially. So anybody who has some good pictures of the cottage, you can email them to john@twit.tv, and I have to go through mine because I have a few. Gosh, I started there's that System episode where Kevin Rose came to visit me in the the cottage started upstairs in the little tiny room. And he came to visit me in my little tiny room. And then we slowly pushed everybody out who worked there. There was an esthetician across the way, pushed her out. She left on her own accord. And then there were some therapists in the room next to that. And I remember when I moved into the bigger room, she said, now, you might hear screaming from time to time. But the way I work with the kids is sometimes, I guess there's sometimes autistic kids, if you hold them past the point where they like at first they don't, and then they relax and and anyway, she apparently did that kind of therapy, although I never heard any kids screaming. But she warned me. So I think Dane went over there and said, if we gave you some money to move, would you move? So they moved. Now we have the whole upstairs. But I'm watching downstairs. There's a game design company downstairs, and it's so pretty. Downstairs is where I really want it because it had all the wood paneling. And they moved, so we took the downstairs. Then there was one esthetician left in the kitchen, and it was bad because she was right next to the studio, and I'd hear her answering machine going on. I'd hear everything, and then she would hear everything coming the other way, so she hated that. So we offered her money, and she moved too. We bought everybody out, and then of course within a year or two of that, we couldn't. I had 8 employees sitting around a table in the living room. It was like, this is not going to work. They were at each other's throats. They were literally saying things like, "He chews too loud. I can't take this anymore." They were like rats jammed in a small enclosure. They're about to eat each other. So we were lucky we found this place. This is great. I love this place. But Lisa says, no, we have to leave. She's one of those people who's like got itchy feet. She says it's not a good use of, we have all this footage that we don't use and can't use. And the people who work here hate it because they can't talk when we're doing shows in there. And I think this is like the most perfectest studio in the history of the world, but it is expensive. It's very expensive. Almost 1/10 of our income goes to rent. Our revenue goes to rent. That's too much. And the thing is, commercial real estate in Petaluma is depressed right now. So we can probably get something cheaper. I just don't want to move. I have to tear the whole thing apart and pack it up in boxes. Brick by brick. Yeah. We certainly have to bring the bricks, and most everything can be moved. Not the walls, obviously, but the curtains and the thing behind me can be moved. This is just built. We made that to look like the cottage. I think almost everything can be moved. There are plenty of, on the east side, there's all sorts of warehouse space that's vacant and stuff. The problem is the thing that we have here that really works is we have, the basement is like a full height raised floor, so we can, there's holes in all these floors all over here with wires. Everything's downstairs. And we really need some way. I guess we just build a raised floor in the new place.
And then there's the Petaluma Market.
Well, that's the other thing. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to choose it based on the proximity of a market. So.
But come on, that's a big deal.
We'll find some other redeeming.
It's not inconsequential.
It's not for a few years. It's not right away, but because we have a lease. But I think it's in 2 years we have to either say, okay, we're going to stick around, or which means we have to start looking in about a year. I don't want to move, but I never want to move. Lisa has so much energy. She's good at that. She's like, no problem. We'll just go. All right. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and we're talking computers. We're talking the internet. We're talking home theater and digital photography. In fact, our digital photography guru, Chris Marquardt, stops by in about half an hour. We'll talk about digital photography. We also do smartphones, and we've been doing a lot of computer stuff. Rick's on the line from Baltimore. He says, I can't take it anymore. iTunes is making me nuts, especially since you have your own music. Now, you can tell iTunes never to look at your own music folder. It doesn't have to take that over.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how do you then sync it? How do you get it to sync?
Well, if you want to sync, you do. Because
Oh,
it
well,
can only sync
get it
stuff
on
it can see.
I've got to get it onto my iPhone somehow.
Ah, I get it.
But I don't use the cloud.
Yeah, you want a direct connect.
I sync directly, yeah.
There is a program called Double Twist. It's free. It works kind of like iTunes. It's an alternative to iTunes, and it will sync to your phone. In fact, I started using it because it was a way to sync to an Android phone as well as an iPhone.
Right.
Manage and sync iTunes music, photos, and videos with our popular lightweight sync software. It's less of a player. It's more of a syncer. I would take a look at that. Yeah, doubletwist.com. And then I mentioned Vox. I really like Vox. I started using Vox because it will play back music that Apple will not, like FLAC files, which is a form of kind of digitally compressed audio that doesn't lose any data. VOX. That's an app. It's a great music player. Doesn't do any syncing. So maybe between Double Twist and Vox, you could get a lot of the functionality.
Okay. Well, is it better on a Mac than a PC if you're doing your direct syncing?
Doesn't matter.
All right.
You're on a Mac or a PC?
No, I'm on a PC, but I can switch to a Mac.
No. I'll tell you, iTunes is bad enough on a Mac. It's even worse on a PC. You just get the feeling Apple doesn't care. I don't know what's going on. My only hope is that maybe, Apple's got its new music service, Beats. They bought Beats for billions of dollars. My only hope, and we think it's going to come out sometime in the next couple of months, probably renamed. Well, it probably won't be called Beats, probably be called Apple or iTunes something. But my only hope is that all along they've been planning to update iTunes or even completely rewrite it, and they've just been waiting till Beats launches their new music streaming service. The idea is that they've decided, they've spent a lot of money on Beats. They've decided, all right, for years, and this was really Steve Jobs. He said people want to own music. They don't want to rent it. So they just did not do streaming music. But streaming music is the future of music. Companies like Spotify has 60 million users. 15 million of them pay $10 a month for it. It's a good business. And so Apple has finally said, all right, I guess we at least ought to offer the choice. So they bought this Beats company, and they are certainly, the next version of iOS 8.4 will have the Beats software in it. Every iPhone and iPad will come with it, and I suspect every Mac will. And this would be a good time for Apple to not take the existing iTunes and rip out iTunes radio and put Beats in. It would be a good time for it to start over. So let's just. It
does a pretty good job managing stuff that you buy on iTunes, but all your personal stuff, it just decides what it wants to sync and what it doesn't. You
cannot. So you could take your music, put it in a separate folder, not have iTunes look at it, just have iTunes look at its iTunes folder. Right. And then when you've got the iPod or iPhone mounted, drag the music over into it through iTunes. That won't add it to the iTunes library, but we'll copy it to the phone.
And then I can play it on the phone?
Yeah.
Well, that would be good. I don't understand what you mean by dragging from where to where.
Yeah. So you put all the stuff, your music. What do you play?
Well, I have some opera. I rip opera off.
Oh, it's not music you've made. It's music you've ripped.
Right.
But you don't, why do you not want to have it in the iTunes library?
I wanted it. It's in the iTunes library, but let's say I've got 13 songs on an album. It'll copy 7 over.
Oh.
It won't copy the whole 13. So I go in and I recheck them all, and I make sure that they've been, you know how it says imported. I make sure they're all imported. I do all that all over again, and then it might take a different 7 this time.
Since you're on Windows, there is an alternative. I thought you were on Mac. That's why I told you about Vox. Double Twist does work on Windows, and there's a program I really like called Media Monkey that's on Windows that is an iTunes clone. So you might try that. It's a better, yeah. And then there's one called Songbird, which is an open source program. That's another one. I didn't realize you were on Windows. I thought for some reason you were on Mac. So there are more choices on Windows because iTunes owns the Mac because Apple makes it, but it's Windows. There's a little bit better choice. And frankly, iTunes on Windows can often cause problems. A lot of people have problems with iTunes on Windows.
I appreciate the advice, Leo. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. Thanks for hanging on. Walter, Huntington, West Virginia. Hello, Walter.
Hi, Leo. Nice to talk to you again.
Nice to talk to you.
Well, I have a Windows 7 PC.
Yeah.
And I have a home page. And when I turn on the PC, it takes quite a while for the home page to come up. But I don't oftentimes want that home page.
Yeah.
I want to go to some other URL, but I can't just exit out of the home page as it's uploading or downloading.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, so is there anything I can do? I don't really want a home page.
What browser are you using?
It's Internet Explorer.
Yeah. Thank you, Internet Explorer. In other browsers, and I presume Internet Explorer, I don't have one in front of me, so I can't tell you, but you can say, make my start page is the term usually we use for that, as distinct from a page that you have on the web that's your home page. Your start page, the page that loads when you launch the browser, you can, in most browsers, and I presume in Internet Explorer, make it blank.
Oh.
Say, I don't want to load a start page. Make it blank.
Okay.
Or have a different start page that's like Google.com would be pretty fast to load. There's
okay.
Yeah. So that's in the settings, Internet Options.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. What start page are you using right now? Is it like My Yahoo kind of a thing? Or?
No, well, the first one was MSN.
Okay.
And that took a long time.
Yeah.
So then I went to Vanguard.com, which is the brokerage, which I sometimes use. So I figured I'll use that, but that takes too long.
Yeah, I would load a simple page or no page at all as the fastest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that,
Yeah,
Leo.
my pleasure. Thanks for calling. Yeah, that would be annoying to have to sit there and watch a page slowly load. Tim in Diana, Texas. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks.
Say, I had AT&T for my cell phone carrier, and in my area, the service was awful. So they gave me a 3G microcell to use, and it was really good until I changed carriers, and I'd like to know if there's any way that I can use this with my new carrier.
I bet not, but that's a good question.
It had to be activated at AT&T.
Yeah. Is there a SIM in it, or I would guess it's locked to AT&T. There's no, technically, of course, it handles the frequencies. They're all similar. It probably, the AT&T calls it a microcell. These are actually technically called femtocells. Almost all carriers offer them.
Okay.
And so it's very likely that AT&T uses a femtocell that's used by other carriers, but I bet you they lock it to AT&T. I'm looking at a page on hacking the AT&T microcell.
That's great.
Yeah, it's from roboskirts.com. It looks like a pretty good... due to broadcasting regulations, users will also be prevented from using the microcell in areas where AT&T doesn't officially do business. Well, that's for a legal restriction.
Sure.
So there actually is a GPS, that's interesting, in your femtocell that knows where it is. But I bet you can hack it. You're going to have to find somebody who has hacked it and see. And I would guess that AT&T would discourage it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, but I know our audience is going to be smart and help me with this, right? Why is that an issue, Rail Dave? Smart. Rail Dave said, I guess Leo doesn't want to talk the issue of Apple Watch only working with Apple devices. Why? I'm sorry, I missed something. This only works with Android devices. I think that to give you the functionality of the Apple Watch, obviously it's going to have an Apple phone. There's no SIM. It uses Wi-Fi to get to an available tower, and they're locked. Okay, so I guess you could do it without a SIM. Just pre-program it to look for AT&T towers. The easiest way to do it would be a SIM, but maybe that's too sophisticated.
Those all have GPS units you got to put outside, kind of like a satellite radio.
Yeah, they do. So you have one of these?
Yeah, but Sprint.
Yeah. So you put it. There has a GPS antenna that you put outside, so it knows where you are. So it must have logic then inside that says, okay, you're nearest to this cell tower.
Yeah, so it knows which.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be really tied to that carrier.
I bet it is.
Yeah. Hacking cell phone equipment is illegal. Well, duh.
Still?
Duh. It also uses the GPS to get the accurate time. Oh, that's interesting. They say, I know, that's interesting, Mike B. They say that maybe these watches will work with Windows, with Apples. That would be nice. That would be nice. The Android Wear watches will work with with iPhones, but they aren't as. I mean, look, I'm not thrilled about it because I like my Edge. Oh, it's fully charged now, despite the fact that the battery is like a 38-pound weakling. I really like this Galaxy S6, so I'm going to be very sad when I have to depart it. That's right. Burke says it's not hacking, it's experimenting for educational purposes. That's all. That's all. That's all it is. I'll put the link.
So what's the Apple Watch going to do that, I mean, I got Gear 2, which, I mean, there's just a few things that does.
Well, you can answer the phone on it. You could have a phone conversation like this, should you choose to. It also has, huh?
I think I can do that. One time I accidentally answered or something, and
you can answer, but your phone, you then have to run and get your phone. Really? They were talking to you in the watch?
I believe.
Oh, you have a Gear 2.
I got a Gear 2.
That's not Android Wear, is it? It's the Gear.
It's the Gear.
Yeah.
Gear 2.
Yeah, some of the Samsung watches have phones in them.
And,
I think they're right. I think the Gear 2, you can talk on the phone.
Geez, you know, I mean,
Not that you'd ever want to, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be able to hear the
You can't put that.
But I've enjoyed the watch. I mean, you know, I've enjoyed having it, even though my Note 3 is, you know, my Note 3 is big. I keep it down in a side pocket.
Right.
You know, and,
right. Let me think of what some Apple specific. Well, first of all, it just like the Android Wear, not the Gear 2, but the Android Wear, the apps are on the phone, and then they say you don't install apps on the watch. The apps are on the phone, and then they have a watch thing that attaches. But there always is, and this is how Apple Watch is going to work initially. There won't be standalone apps for the watch. They'll just connect to an app.
I was in the Apple universe until I got an Android phone.
I love my Android phones. I have to say it's going to be a real hardship having to use an iPhone. But I'm hopeful that the watch will add enough functionality that it won't feel too bad. We'll see. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Thanks to our musical director, Nathan Staten. Not many people know the Blue Oyster Cult. Not many. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. Steven's in Oceanside, California. Hi, Steven.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Yes, I have a question, but I need to preface it just slightly. You have to understand that currently I own 3 tablets, and I have a laptop and a desktop.
Okay.
But I started out with WordStar 3.0 and DBase 2.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Yep.
Control KS. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Your fingers never forget those WordStar commands.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. But currently, my laptop has Windows 7 on it.
Yeah.
It's Service Pack 1 and all.
Okay.
And I like it. And my Office 2010. Yeah, I use some other software, but I like that combination, and I'm happy with it.
Good.
Now, Microsoft has made available the ISOs for Windows 7, but it's only available to those who have a retail key. Now, I have the sneaking suspicion a legitimate retail key for Windows 7 is probably questionable. So I was curious if I might be able to buy a Windows 8.1 retail key.
Yes, you can.
And then downgrade to Windows 7.
No, you can't.
Oh.
If you buy an 8.1 key, you'll be using A1. So, but you can buy a Windows. Well, I wonder if you can buy a Windows 7 key. So, how did you get Windows 7 on this computer in the first place?
It came preloaded.
Okay. So, the Windows 7 that you're using is what we call an OEM version. If it was preloaded with authorization, if it wasn't illegally preloaded.
Oh, yeah.
So you go to who'd you buy it from?
Lenovo.
So you go to Lenovo and you say, I'd like to buy the Windows discs for this computer.
Okay, but it's almost 5 years old now.
Yeah.
And for one thing, transferring it to a new motherboard or to a new laptop.
No, you can't do that either.
Right.
The Windows version you have is tied to that Lenovo. You know what you should do? Just wait. This summer, which I guess could be anywhere right up to September 20th, Windows 10 comes out and will be free to everyone running Windows 7. So you could just wait for that.
Well, part of the problem is I have a lot of several programs that work really well under 7. Okay, I do testing for construction services. And I don't know how long it's going to be before they go ahead and upgrade those for moving into Windows 7 Windows 10. And if my
you can't. Here's another choice for you. You can buy an OEM DVD still. Until they run out of them, because I think Microsoft has officially stopped making them. But somebody in the chat room says Newegg still has some. So the idea is these are copies of Windows designed to be sold to system integrators, people building computers. And it used to be you'd actually have to order a computer part to get it. I think they don't do that anymore. They just wink. They go, you're building a system, right? Yes, sir. Okay.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that.
So that would be, and it's $150. So there you go. That would be a way to get an official Windows 7 disk with a license key.
Okay.
Don't delay too long, because Microsoft sunsetted the OEM versions of Windows 7 on Halloween of last year. So I'm amazed. And then somebody's saying that you can go to Microsoft.com software recovery. And I guess this is for people like you who never got discs from the manufacturer. And you can use your 7 key. So there are ways around it. I wouldn't delay. Microsoft has moved on, obviously.
Right.
And the good news is once Windows 10 works for your software, you'll be able to do the free upgrade. You're going to have a year from the release date for that. So I think that, and I do believe that people will want to do that. Almost all software that works with Windows 7 will work just fine with Windows 8 and Windows 10. But there's always little glitches, especially software like the kind you're using, that we call it vertical software, that's aimed at a specific business. A lot of times those aren't written as well as the mainstream software, and maybe have dependencies on Windows 7 that they shouldn't. So.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome. Egghead. I guess Amazon has some too, they're telling me in the chat room. Boy, they must have had a box in the back that they, hey, look what we got over here, Chuck. We got some Windows 7 discs. Oh, really? We should sell those. I bet you there's people who buy those. Mark's in Oxnard, California. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Nice to talk to you.
Hey, Leo, I'm hoping for some guidance. I feel like I've been held hostage by my Verizon Yahoo webmail ever since March 19th. I have been locked out of it, unable to log in, but whenever I try to access my email, it says, server currently unavailable. Please try later.
What?
And this, several years ago, I used to have just regular Verizon webmail. And at that time, Verizon forced me, and I'm sure many other users, to use this kind of hybrid Verizon.
They contracted with Yahoo to do the back end.
Yeah. Apparently, they've backed out of that now, or are having second thoughts, because at that time there was no alternative. Now I understand it is possible to unlink from that, and all the help people say is, well, if you weren't linked to Yahoo, you wouldn't have these problems. It wasn't my idea to begin with. But
that's rude. That is so rude of them to make you use Yahoo and then say, well, you could unlink.
So now for an hour plus almost every evening since March 19th, I go through my ritual of calling help and walking through all the steps and finally being told, we're working on it, but don't worry. 24 to 48 hours, we'll have it sorted out. And I have no confidence that anyone's doing anything.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So I'm really at wit's end. And apparently my Mac mail, which I don't usually use, it seems as if it has captured or downloaded all my older emails up until March 8th.
Yeah, it would have saved that.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to go to another provider, or you want to get your mail?
I want to get my mail. That's the top priority.
So I would check. So the server you're using, have you looked in your settings to see what the name of it is?
I'm not.
It'll be in the accounts settings for Apple Mail.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if Verizon used a proprietary server or if they just used the general Yahoo Mail server. Make sure that server, you might try just changing, go to Yahoo Mail and get the settings for their servers and just try changing it and see if your mail's there. It may well be that you have a Yahoo Mail account. You don't have to go through Verizon.
Okay, because Yahoo Help apparently doesn't exist. Going that way.
You can search for, if you say Yahoo Mail servers, do a Google search for that. I would get another mail provider. In fact, I'll talk about why you don't want to use your ISP's mail provider when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So Verizon deprecated Yahoo Mail. And it sounds like turned off the server. I don't know anything about this here, so.
They always had a deal with Yahoo and AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T did it. A lot of companies did it, and then they just, I guess, decided to.
I still run a mailing list.
Do you?
When Yahoo blacklist you, you notice all the other domains to go down with.
Yeah, yeah.
They filter a lot of other mail.
Okay, thank you, PC guy. Somebody has found a link. And we'll put this in the show notes. Well, I don't know if this is just the generic Yahoo Mail. Oh, here we go. Check, see if it's blocking the Verizon Yahoo servers or. So this is the link, though. This is for Verizon users. So what you'll want to do is go to this page. It's a Yahoo page, and make sure that all your settings are correct and all that. We'll put this in the show notes for you. It's a help page on Yahoo. Ick. And thank you, PC Man 88. So what do you want to do? Uh-oh. Skype 1 is used EW. What does that mean? Oh. Can you hear me?
Oh, hello.
Oh, it works.
Of course I can.
It works. It's used elsewhere, but it doesn't matter. Hey, how are you? Yeah, I hear you great. Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Then now all is well.
I just got a weird echo back.
You're getting an echo back?
No, I'm not. Now I'm not.
Oh, good.
Just initially for a few seconds.
So,
let's talk Apple Photos.
Okay. I got a fun thing when I first ran my my 10.10.3 update, and I got Apple Photos. I got a very interesting. Let me see if I can find this here. Here you go. This library contains items that need to download from iCloud Photo Library. To download the complete library, delete the incomplete items, then set this library as a system photo library in preferences and enable iCloud Photo Library. This will disable iCloud Photo Library on any other libraries. And then you have two choices. Delete incomplete items. I don't even know what that means. Or quit.
Yeah.
Fortunately, this was on
I cannot help you with that.
This was on a brand new computer that didn't have any items in the photo library.
Oh, really?
So I said, well, what the hell? And I deleted incomplete items, and everything seems to be fine. But boy, that is not a helpful.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's polished to the max yet.
Yeah.
Still a lot.
So that's
going
to be the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to have some sort of weird.
Well, this I did not have. So I
don't know why I got
I do not
this.
share the same experience.
Yeah. Well,
but I had another horrible experience with it, which I try to put it through its paces. So I dragged a folder full of RAW files over with like 90 gigabytes worth of RAW file. That's not too much.
Wow.
That should be that thing should be able to handle that.
Wow.
And it completely froze my computer. I found out the process was actually using up 42 gigabytes of memory. I only have 16 in the computer, so it was swapping 30 gigabytes onto the SSD. So I am going to have a phone call with someone from Apple, with higher up in the support, actually, sometime on Monday. So I'll probably help them debug why that thing can't manage its memory. It was fun. Not.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt is here, our photo guy. Before we go to Chris, though, I just want to mention we're going to put in the show notes at techguylabs.com the Verizon Yahoo page for the settings for Verizon's Yahoo Mail. Make sure those settings are correct. And if it still doesn't work, then you shouldn't you get rid of it. It does seem like you're going to have, you're going to lose a month's worth of mail. That's not so hot. So for that, I don't know what the solution is, except maybe to log into the web version of it and see if you can get it there. And my suggestion is never use your internet service provider's mail service, because you change internet service providers or whatever, you're tied to them, and you're much better off, I think, using Google Mail or paying somebody like Fastmail. That's what I use to do your mail service, and just have everything go there. Best thing to do is to register your name as a domain, leo.com, and then have a mail server either at the domain registrar or have it bounce to somewhere like Fastmail or Google Mail. Then you don't have to worry anymore. I bet Chris Marquardt does this. Chris is our photo guy. He is calling from the Viewfinder Villa in beautiful downtown Germany. Hi, Chris.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm great. I had a little kerfuffle.
You told me about it.
Yeah.
Now everyone's talking about the Apple Watch, but there's one other thing that I think you mentioned it earlier. Everyone should upgrade to 10.10.3.
Yeah.
Because of a bug, because of a security flaw. But that also brings a new piece of software onto your Mac, which is Apple Photos.
Does it delete iPhoto?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So you could
leaves iPhoto in place. It leaves the old library in place.
So you could still use it.
Well, you can still use it. And at this point, the Photos app is, well, it's actually pretty good. It has a few flaws, a few bugs. It's a first product. I mean, they worked on this.
I'm going to just show everybody so they don't feel all alone. This was a brand new computer. I just bought the new MacBook Pro, so I didn't have any photos on it, or if I did, it was a few. There wasn't a lot on there. But I did immediately, of course, upgrade it to the latest version of Yosemite, 10.10.3. And I got this error message when I launched Photos, the new Photos. This library contains items that need to, download from iCloud Photo Library. To download the complete library, delete the incomplete items, then set this library as a system photo library in Preferences and enable iCloud Photo Library. This will disable iCloud Photo Library on any other libraries. And then two buttons. One, delete incomplete items, no idea what that is, or quit. Now, actually, I thought, well, I have nothing on here I care about, so I deleted incomplete items, and everything seems to be operating okay.
That would confuse the heck out of me. That did not happen when I migrated. What happened was that it told me that there's this new thing. I started the Photos app, and everything that was in my iPhotos before, by the way, still is now in Photos. It actually migrated all my events over into albums. It has a bit of a different structure. But that was all there. So I didn't have, but I was also using this iPhoto library for like stuff that I shoot with my iPhone and some.
Yeah, you don't use it for like your professional career, right?
I think that let's talk about this first. Who is it for? And I think it's actually an upgrade from iPhoto. It's a downgrade from Aperture at this point. It doesn't have all the full capabilities of iPhoto. Of Aperture. So Aperture users will probably want to use Aperture for another while until all the features are there, unless they don't need the features. There's like extended metadata and things in Aperture that Photos doesn't have. In Photos you can't, for example, give star ratings to the photos as far as I can tell. So it's limited in many ways. It is super fast. It's impressive how fast it is. With I think I now have about 10,000 photos in there, and it scrolls super fast. There's no delays, no nothing. So I don't It's definitely better than iPhoto in that respect. And it still is similar to iPhoto in a way that it has kind of two different modes. So you have a library mode, which is where you sort your pictures and you can create folders and drag pictures around and sort them into folders and subfolders and things. And then there's this adjustment mode where you will actually work on a photo, like make it look more beautiful, enhance it, change the brightness, the shadows, the white balance, and all these things. So it is quite capable in that respect. It still doesn't have any local adjustments. You know, from Lightroom, you can like paint in an adjustment brush so you can make the sky darker, but not the rest of the photo. You can't do this in photos. It's just not there. So
they took features out.
Well, no, you couldn't do this in iPhoto. But if you come from something like Lightroom or Aperture, you do not have these local adjustments at this point. So some of it is not a full replacement for Aperture just yet. It's just not there yet.
It's really, but it's a little better than iPhoto, but not quite a professional program.
Well, if you look into the adjustment module, you actually have a lot of things you can adjust there. It looks fairly empty when you start it, but then there's an add menu up there. You can have a histogram. You can have all sorts of things like exposure and highlights and shadows and contrast and the black point and color saturation, noise reduction, definition, which Lightroom users will know as clarity, white balance, a levels adjustment. So it has taken over a lot of these things. It has brought them over from Aperture. So that is good, but I'm pretty sure they will do something, or let's say I hope that they will do something that similar to what they did with Final Cut Pro with their video editing software, where they then started, after the first release, they started releasing often to update features and things. And I'm pretty hopeful that they will do something there. Actually, they will have to, because Aperture users don't have anywhere to go at this point.
Yeah, they do.
Other than staying on Aperture or to
Lightroom.
go to Lightroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lightroom's good, though.
Oh, I love Lightroom. I won't give it up just now, but
it's not that expensive.
No, it's not.
It's under $200.
It's a bit of a change in terms of how you use it, but you know, the different kinds of users. I think what Apple is, I believe what Apple's trying to do is go for a bigger audience here, and those are typically not the professional type of photographers. So I think we'll have to wait how this develops. At this point, I would see it as a preview, as a technology preview, and hopefully it's going to evolve over time.
They have said, I think, that they're going to allow third-party extensions to work with it, much as they did with Aperture before. That would be good news.
I have snooped around in the library file. You can open that and have a look inside. There is a plugins folder in there, so I would expect them to open this up with an SDK with a plugin structure. So I'm pretty sure there will be third-party plugins pretty soon.
That can add a lot of functionality: HDR, panoramas, filters. Is there? There's Nik, which Google now owns. There's Alien Skin.
There's so much
Topaz,
stuff out there that's
Photomatics. I have them all because I never know. I just figure one of these is going to look really good, and actually it could be a little bit overwhelming. Hey, Chris, we are continuing our assignment because we wanted to cover photos this week. We're going to push till next week our photo review.
Yes, I thought we might have something to talk here that is more current, but the photo assignment is asleep, and it'll continue until next week.
It's not literally asleep. That's the word.
No, the assignment is not asleep. The topic of the assignment is asleep.
Yeah, illustrate the word or concept asleep. Tag it asleep, upload it to Flickr, submit it to our Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will say thank you, and you still have a chance. We only allow one upload a week, so you got one shot and making a great picture. Chris will review 3 of the best next week. If you want to follow Chris, his great photography, take any of his workshops, just head to discoverthetopfloor.com. Discoverthetopfloor.com. He's got a couple of workshops coming up in the States later this year, so go now before they fill up. Discoverthetopfloor.com. Thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Don't forget, asleep. Asleep. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Yeah. I like photos, but I don't know. I realized I haven't updated to 10.3 here, so I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will allow third parties in very
That would be
soon.
nice.
They have to. There's no way they can't allow that.
Make a note, by the way. That would be a great topic for a segment. Is plugins.
Plugins, third-party.
Yeah, like must-have plugins and filters. Which ones do you use? I like Silver Effects.
I have a whole Nick suite.
Yeah, Nick's great.
I've played with some of the others, but most experience I do have with Nick at this point.
Yeah, me too. I have Nick, Topaz.
They're fun.
Alien Skin, Photomatics, which is the HDR program I use.
One that's available for Lightroom is the VSCO filters.
I see a lot of people using those.
They are very cool. If you come from the film days, you have amazing film simulations in those. It looks really good, the stuff.
Oh.
They're not cheap, though.
Nah.
By far not as cheap as Nick.
Yeah, Nick, because Google owns it now, has gotten really cheap. But I don't know. Wow, look at all these. So these are specific.
Again, I think each of those is like $100 or something, and then you have like six of them at this point.
Wow. $119. But these are all different packs.
They're different. They have different film simulations built in, but the results are really interesting when you look at how they do this in Lightroom, because they have special profiles in there, and they pretty much adjust everything you can in Lightroom, and they get excellent results.
I'm always looking at monochrome filters because these are all AGFA. I really like black and white.
Well, Silverfax is pretty strong in that respect.
I think that's the one. Yeah,
Silverfax does a really, really good job. Even though I'm a half analog guy. I prefer actually just shooting in black and white films.
I know.
Because that's even more genuine.
I know. It actually looks black and white. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
All right, Chris. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you again next week.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
So I'm going to take a big chance and update OS 10 during the show. Why, Leo? Why? I actually downloaded it onto a USB key, but I forgot to bring it because we had 5 Macs to update at home.
You do it on your laptop.
Huh? Yeah, we should do it on my laptop too. Yeah, I guess. I put it on a USB key. I should bring it. I should have brought it with me because that would save a lot of downloading. They're 2 gigs. It's 2.2 gigs on this machine. I know. I'm living the La Vida Loca. It'll be done by the end of the show. Pretty sure. I like the new Snapseed a lot. In fact, I used it on and made some images on my. Oh, thank you. I have a power cord over here. And I like the new icon too. Yeah, I like Snapseed. That's free too. That's from Nick. And it's on Android. I don't know if it's on iOS. Is it on iOS? I guess it must be. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Patrick is in Guelph. Hey, it's appropriate to have somebody Canadian now after we have a little Rush song. Good to talk to you. Is it Guelph or Guelph?
It's Guelph.
Guelph, Ontario, Canada.
Right, yeah. It's about an hour outside of Toronto.
Yeah. What can I do? It's nice to hear from you. What can I do for you?
Well, I've got 2 questions, both to do with my iPhone 6.
Okay.
I get very frustrated listening to you saying so many times how wonderful Touch ID is, and it doesn't work worth a darn for me.
Oh, that's not good.
No, and actually, I've been to the Genius Bar 3 times about this, and they've actually even replaced my phone because I thought perhaps there was a problem with that particular phone. But the problem is...
That's what I'm thinking, too.
Well, I train up about 4 of my fingers, and for a day or so, it seems to recognize them okay. But then, the second or third day, I have to touch it 2 or 3 times. And then after about 4 or 5 days, it doesn't recognize them at all. And so the last time I went to the Genius Bar, the genius I spoke to said, well, this is really just a kind of a novelty. It actually doesn't work that well.
That's so not true. I hate these geniuses who are morons.
Well...
Now, there was an issue with fingerprint rot, although I've never heard of anything going that fast. It used to take a few months, before, and it would start to degrade. But Apple actually fixed that with iOS 8. And I have to say, I have never had a better experience with a fingerprint reader.
That's what I've heard you say many times. And that's why it's really frustrating.
Yeah. You never had to, you never, like, in your youth, you didn't sand your fingerprints off or anything, did you?
No, nothing like that. But, the thing is that...
I can't believe an Apple genius
I wash my own dishes and everything, and so if your fingers are wet, they're not quite the same as when they were dry.
Absolutely. Do not use any fingerprint reader with wet fingers. They must be bone dry.
Yeah, and then, of course, throughout the winter months here, things are pretty dry inside my house, so I get dry hands, so I had to put hand cream on. So, of course, that's
not a good idea.
Off too.
Make sure it's clean. Yeah. Now, I'm going to suggest something for you that does work.
I've tried as many things as I can, but even when my fingers are, as far as I can tell, the same as the state they were in when I trained them on the phone, after, as I said, after about 4 or 5 days, it just doesn't seem to recognize them.
What I'm going to suggest is that you overtrain. This is something that... So, Apple lets you train the fingerprint reader on the iPhone with, I think, 9 touches, something like that. But you can actually add more. In fact, they'd like you.
I remember Steve Gibson talking about that, but that was before iOS 8. And in iOS 8, they seem to have kind of built that in because there's kind of 2 phases to training it.
Right.
You put your finger on several times, and then it says now touch around the edges so that we can get a complete picture. But I've never found any way of going beyond that.
Ah, so they took that out, did they?
Well, as far as I can tell, yeah.
Well, that's frustrating. Let me go look at this. Yeah, this was a good idea, but I guess they figured, well, we fixed it in iOS 8, so you don't have to worry about it anymore. What the idea was, you would touch an existing fingerprint. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's no longer, you can no longer overtrain it. Well, you got me, and you've tried, I presume, over and over again.
Oh yeah. I've trained them, half a dozen times at least. All 4 fingers. I've tried other fingers, and just to see.
All I can say is your experience is unique. And I would suspect the hardware. Did you get a new phone or no?
Yeah, they gave me a brand new phone. I had to reinstall everything on it to,
Which iOS version are you on?
Oh, well, it's the latest one. I always keep whatever that is.
Because they have had versions that have broken Touch ID, but as they've gone through the versions, it hasn't gotten better or worse. It's always been broken for you. Is that right?
Yeah. Where is that? Under General Settings?
Yeah.
Software Update.
About
for iOS 8.3. So
yeah, you have the latest version.
Right.
So I am looking at an article from the Cult of Mac that says iOS update breaks Touch ID for some. Of course, you've had problems since before 8.3, so I don't know if this is germane or not.
Yeah, no, I had problems from day one. I guess.
Boy, this is puzzling because I use it and it works every time absolutely wonderfully. My wife, same experience. She has other issues with her iPhone. The audio quality is terrible. People think she's underwater. And everybody I've seen, I'm looking at this article, and yes, definitely people are upset a little bit because they are having trouble. But so I don't know. I guess for some people it's broken, and for some people it's not, and I just don't know what the criteria are.
Well, I've pretty much given up on it.
That's
based
sad.
on the advice from this most recent genius I talked to.
He's so wrong. It is not a gimmick.
Yeah, well, he said you're better off to just use a short passcode, which is what I do now, and I never use the Apple ID. Maybe I should try it. Maybe now that I haven't used it for a few months, maybe it'll recover. I'll have to try it again.
It may indeed be that some people's fingerprints, for whatever reason, don't work as well. I don't. I mean, that's very odd.
One of the lucky ones, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a second question
Yes,
then?
yes, indeed.
Unrelated, but related to iOS 8, I believe. I use AirPlay from my phone and my iPad, and I can. I have no problem actually doing the AirPlaying. It's just that one device I AirPlay to is my Airport Express that I have connected with an audio cable to my stereo.
Yeah.
And I listen to a lot of my audio podcasts, including a number of yours on there. And whenever I AirPlay to the Airport Express, it always asks me for the password for my Airport Express. And that never used to happen before I upgraded, like on my iPad before I had iOS 7, and it didn't ask for that password then. But when I got the iPhone, I noticed it kept asking for my password all the time.
That's frustrating.
And when I upgraded the iPad to iOS 8, then it started asking for a password. I thought I had solved the problem. I went into Airport Utility on my Mac, and I changed to a slightly less complicated password, so it wouldn't be such a nuisance to enter it in each time.
Right.
And
there's a setting there that tells you that says remember the password. I see.
Well, now that's what I was going to say. I didn't see that setting anywhere on the Mac, but I thought, what happens if I go into Airport Utility on my phone? And sure enough, there was a setting there that says remember my password.
Right.
And it's going to sound like a broken record, but after a couple of days, it started asking for the password again. I went back into Airport Utility, and that setting was gone.
Ay, caramba! I want you to erase your phone. To start over with your phone. Something is messed up.
Well, I don't know. It really does seem like it's an iOS 8 thing, because like I said, it asks for the password on my iPad as well.
I don't do this, but it should, if you check that box, not have to ask you for it anymore. That's very strange. I don't know something's unsetting it, and I don't know what that is. And maybe our chat room.
I mean, I don't even know why there is a password on that thing, for that matter. I mean,
well, that's so somebody won't take over your Airport Express.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? Start playing stuff in my stereo?
Start playing Geddy Lee blaring through your stereo. Yeah, it's silly. I'm with you, too. You see all this security on Bluetooth, same thing. People are, I guess, worried that somebody driving next to me on the highway is going to take over my Bluetooth. It just doesn't seem that likely,
Yeah.
So I think it'd be nice to turn that kind of security off or down. And in fact, they have that checkbox. Somebody in the chat room is giving us a Apple discussion link. I'll tell you what, we'll defer this to the website, techguylabs.com. We'll put it in the website, this link. And then if anybody has some suggestions, please go there. You can get the last call from the second hour of today's show. We divided up all that way. And put your thoughts in the comments if you've got a solution on either the fingerprint reader or this password for AirPlay using the Airport Express. It sounds wrong in every case. And, maybe the solution is to reset the iPhone. I don't know. I just don't know. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, again, techguylabs.com. You can go there. It's free. There's no sign up. I don't want your email address. Please, that's what we want to do, is make that a great repository of information. This is a good example. If you can help Patrick, let's get it done. Get her done. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love Touch ID. Works every time for me. I don't understand. I should have asked him if he works in, somebody says if he works in the construction industry, his fingerprints might be worn down.
I was just talking to a lady this weekend. Can't get it to work.
Can't get it to work. It must have something to do with your fingerprints, right? It works very, very reliably for me.
Yeah, we have an iPad. It works fine on there.
Yeah, well, I just, was so pleased I got the Air 2, and I no longer have to enter my password. I hate entering passwords. And this is so nice. I just do that. Don't know. So now my computer's rebooting. Yeah, you're a big bong, huh?
Yeah.
Bong. So 7 minutes. I might just make this for the next break. But see, he was having trouble before 8.3. That's what's so weird.
Well, he said it'd been a couple of months.
Yeah. I just think some people it doesn't work. Dr. Mom's saying with her fingerprint scanners at the hospital, some people it just doesn't work well. But boy, I thought Touch ID was flawless. Is this not egg matzah? This is just flour and water. Just flour. It's pretty dry. It's good with butter. It's a good substrate for butter. Butter and salt.
It's the same way I eat rice.
Yeah, rice is just a substrate for flavor.
Rice,
Right, right. I love it. I look forward to Passover so we can get matzah. I know, I saw that. Thank you, Hawaii Cup.
Are you wearing a tuxedo next weekend?
I could. Should I?
Did you say 10th anniversary party?
Yeah.
Tuxedo?
Should I?
Ball gown? I'm just asking you. So
You want to wear a ball gown and I'll wear a tuxedo? That'd be pretty funny, wouldn't it?
Let's do it. Email
All right. All right.
Mark's gonna wear a collar. You wear the gown, I'll wear the tuxedo.
Burke says he'll wear a collared shirt. That's good. Well, I definitely won the race on this Fusion-based iMac. It updated really fast, much faster than it said. My iPhone 6 has, from day one, remembered the fingers, used the fingers, been fine with the fingers. So I don't know. I just don't know.
And when I saw them already putting in their password.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7. Leo Laporte.
This iMac is late 2012, i7, 16 gigs of RAM. It's still got a Fusion drive in it. With a lot of free space. Wow. Yeah, so it's pretty. This is a pretty speedy little computer. Fusion drive isn't all that fast, but it's fast enough. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater and smartphones, digital photography, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We were talking about fingerprint readers before the break. Everybody I know who has an iPhone has had a good experience with it, but I guess it is the case that with some fingerprint readers, if you have some people's fingerprints are not going to work. If you worked in construction and you maybe worked with concrete or something, and your fingers kind of the fingerprint got worn down, I guess it wouldn't work. I'm very excited because I just got the Galaxy S6, Samsung's newest smartphone. Samsung has had a fingerprint reader for a year now. They had one in the Note 4 and the Galaxy S5, and it was a little bit underwhelming, frankly. You had to swipe it physically. Now the fingerprint reader works really well. You just like the Apple one, you just put your finger on it. Wait a sec. It's a little bit slower than the Apple, but it's very reliable. Uses, I guess, a similar technology. Apple bought the company Authentech that was the kind of the king of these fingerprint readers, and they do own obviously some key technologies for the fingerprint readers for the iOS devices. But I have to say the Samsung's either they've either copied it or they've figured out a way to do it as well. But it is great. And I tell you, having a fingerprint reader on a smart device makes a lot of sense, because one of the big issues in general with computing is something we call authentication, proving you are who you say you are. We wouldn't need passwords if we didn't worry about that. That's what a password is supposed to do, is authenticate that you are who you say you are using something you know. That's why, you know, we have to memorize all these passwords all of a sudden. And certainly if you're doing financial transactions, it becomes very important. When you use a credit card, it's something you have, that physical piece of plastic. They swipe it. And if it's a debit card, you may also be required to enter something you know, the 4-digit PIN. Or sign your name, which isn't very secure, as we know. Starting in October, we're going to have to do a new kind of credit card. They'll have little chips in them, and they'll be chip and sign, or chip and PIN, which is what they use around the rest of the world for authentication. Something you have, something you know. We call that two-factor authentication, and it really is better than just a password, because you can lose a password, or a password can be guessed. So I think having a fingerprint reader on a phone, or some sort of biometric sensor on a phone, makes it more secure, makes it better for things like wallets, electronic wallets, Apple Pay, and the Tap to Pay, Google Wallet, Samsung's Loop Pay. All of these things are really great because you don't have to pull out a credit card. You just enter your credit cards, they store them securely, and then you just tap something. Use your fingerprint if you've got a fingerprint reader. If not, you can use a PIN, and you've got a transaction. And by the way, there are advantages to you as a user, because in most cases with these tap-to-pay systems, your personal information is not flowing to the retailer. It does with a credit card, but not with these. They don't even know your credit card number, so it's much more secure that way. So I feel bad that it's not working for our last caller, but boy, that is a great feature. And I love it that we're going to see it on more and more stuff. And it's one of the reasons I think the Galaxy S6 is going to be a big seller, because it's the first Android phone with a truly reliable, easy-to-use fingerprint reader like Apple's. There is one downside to fingerprints, and it's kind of something unexpected. You know, in the United States anyway, our Bill of Rights protects us against unreasonable search and seizure, and the courts have upheld that would include forcing you to give up a password, that you are protected. Your password, being in your head, belongs to you. But at the same time, courts have always held that a DNA test by taking a lock of your hair does not require consent. That is a different kind of search. And courts have said, no, while you can't force somebody to give up a password, actually that would violate the Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination. Taking a lock of their hair or their fingerprint is not a violation of the Fifth Amendment. It is not self-incrimination. You're just gathering evidence. Well, it applies to a fingerprint reader as well. So if you have a fingerprint reader on your phone, it may be, in fact, that you are more secure in every respect, except you're less secure from law enforcement. They can force you to open up that phone with a fingerprint. That's not considered self-incrimination, whereas if you had a password on it, it would be. So that would be the one exception. It's more secure in every respect except that. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's go back. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. I'm right after the show going to fly to Vegas for the National Association of Broadcasters show, the NAB show. And if you're there for NAB, I want you to stop by tomorrow. I'm doing the Broadcast Minds event. It'll be a panel. It's going to be very interesting. I think we're going to repeat the video of it from on our podcast network, twit.tv, on Monday and Tuesday nights. The panel is going to feature me as the moderator, which is good because I don't know anything about broadcasting. Thank goodness. Robert Scoble, my good friend, old friend, will be there as well on the panel. And then we're going to have some very interesting people joining us to talk about the future of Internet broadcasting. From CBS Interactive, we're going to have Mark DeBevoise. He is the Executive Vice President for Entertainment, News, and Sports. CBS Interactive is their online, their digital division. And from Vice Media, Sterling Proffer. Vice just made a deal with HBO to do a nightly newscast, which I find very intriguing. So this will be a fun panel. If you're at NAB, it starts at 5 p.m. at the South Hall Room S222. S222 at NAB. But if you're not, we will be broadcasting video of the panel tonight and tomorrow night. I'm sorry, Monday night and Tuesday night on live.twit.tv. Should be interesting. Back to the phones we go. David is on the line from Murrieta, California. Hi, David.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Fantastic. Love listening to you. My son and I both love to listen to you.
Why, thank you.
We're going to be being up there to visit you at your offices and hopefully be in a little bit of the gallery there.
It'd be fun. We have a live audience most of the time, and it's so great. So great.
Well, I'd love to see you. Got a question for you in regards to living in a townhome, 2 stories, and not getting as good Wi-Fi upstairs as I'm getting downstairs. I'm currently with Time Warner Cable. I've got one of their cable modems. I guess it's made by Aris, and I maybe have jumped the gun. I told Heather this, but I've been hearing a lot of good things about the Airport Extreme, and I'm wondering, can I hook up the Airport Extreme, and will it extend it for me?
Yeah, that's what I do. So your cable company, your DSL company often they have to provide you with a modem. That's how you get the stuff they're sending down the pipe into a Ethernet form that you can use. But many times they also provide you with a built-in router, and sometimes they even provide you with a built-in Wi-Fi router. I almost always want to bypass those. So the way to do that, yes, you buy an Airport Extreme, you hook it up via wire to your Aris cable modem. I would go into the Aris settings if you can and disable. Is it wireless as well? Does it do Wi-Fi as well?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I disable Wi-Fi on it, but let it continue to do NAT, network address translation, or sometimes DHCP, as you'll see that. Let them continue to do that, and then put the airport in bridge mode. And then if you still have trouble, get a small Airport Express. This is what we do, and put that kind of somewhere in the townhouse that it's like midway. That's a repeater. So it'll pick up the signal and it'll rebroadcast it, giving you 5 bars upstairs as well as downstairs. You may not need that, but absolutely I would replace the Wi-Fi router and even the router if you can on the cable-provided modem, because it's going to be more modern and better. Airport Extreme is so much better than the Wi-Fi access point that your cable company is providing you with. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Sybil says, a new Airport Extreme and the new Aris 6141 doubled my download speed. You know, that might be, if you didn't have DOCSIS 3 before, you want to make sure you have DOCSIS 3 on your cable modem, because that really would slow you down. And that's right. You know, Comcast turns your cable Wi-Fi. If you're using Comcast's Wi-Fi, you're now providing neighborhood Wi-Fi. And they say it doesn't affect you in any way. They don't charge you for the bandwidth, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that's the case, but I don't know. Something about that bugs me. So another reason not to use the Wi-Fi router provided with, at least by Comcast. Did she announce? Bill retweeted her? All right. So that was the question. It was if Hillary would announce on Twitter or TV. Was it Rand Paul that used YouTube? I think it was Rand Paul used YouTube. Yep. So 15 minutes ago, she did. Oh, she changed her page too. They got rid of her typing on her BlackBerry. I liked that. Oh well. Yeah, it's probably good. So already 48,000 retweets, 41,000 favorites. She must have a lot of followers. Well, really 3.23 million, wow.
Really hoping nobody runs against her in the primary, otherwise.
Yeah, I think the Democrats will line up behind that and let the Republicans eat each other alive and then stand back. They'd be smart, yeah, and yeah, they'd be smart. Although they could inoculate her against some obvious issues if they. I wonder what they're going to do. They're very smart strategists, so they might choose to use a kind of a straw man primary contender against her to bring up all of the negatives in the primary, get them out of the way, right? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask. Leo, we've been waiting to see. Everybody said that Hillary Clinton, the former First Lady, would be, and Senator from New York would be, and Secretary of State, let's get all of those titles in, would be announcing today that she's running for president next year. The question, I even posed this at the beginning of the show, is she going to announce it on one of the morning news programs? Is she going to announce it on TV? Is she going to have a press conference? Or is she going to tweet it? Well, we now have the answer. 50 minutes ago, she tweeted it. I'm running for president. Every day Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. Already 48,000 retweets, 41,000 favorites. She's got over 3 million followers. This is going to be the Twitter campaign this year. Who was it? Was it Ted Cruz or Rand Paul that announced on YouTube? Apparently Ms. Clinton also did a YouTube video announcing. This is, you know, I love watching this. And it's one of the reasons I've been saying for a while, the internet is more than just a toy, more than just a luxury. It's a necessity. I think you're going to see this in the 2016 election, that if you want information, especially information broader than you're going to get from the mainstream media, if you really want to know what's going on, you're going to need the internet. That's going to be it's an important part of our democracy. And one of the reasons I'm a strong advocate of internet, you know, getting internet everywhere, fast internet everywhere in the United States. Even, see, in the rural areas, big business, it's not enough money in a rural area. So it's going to have to be some form of government subsidized thing. Otherwise, you're just not going to get it. Ruth is in Roseburg, Oregon. Hi, Ruth. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I must say I've been watching you live on the internet, and you're not anything like I pictured.
You thought I was tall, dark, and handsome?
And thin, yeah.
And thin? Oh, you're breaking my heart. Well,
sorry.
That's okay. They say I have a face for radio.
Yeah.
Apparently a belly for radio as well.
Yeah. My question is this. I recently not recently, it's been several months, ditched the satellite. Tired of spending way too much money for very little things to watch.
Yeah.
Bought a couple Leaf antennas. Love them. Can't say enough good things about
So you're
it.
able to get over. How far is Roseburg from the metros?
From the metros? From like Eugene or Portland?
Yeah, I mean, I presume you're getting your television from there.
Yeah, some of it. There's a couple local channels. Plays mainly like old movies.
But the Leaf works well enough to get you to Eugene. And
oh, yeah. I've
Portland.
got all the big networks, with the exception of Fox, which I really miss Fox. But I have ABC, NBC, CBS, CW. I have enough to watch. If there's not enough to watch, then I pick up a book and read it.
Oh, well, you are a rebel.
I am a rebel, you know.
A book. No, that is, I have to say, if you can get over-the-air television, it is the best deal in HD TV out there. It's a better quality HD TV than you would get on satellite or cable, and it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have Amazon Prime.
Right. If you want to, if you want movies or whatever, you can always stream them over the internet. So you have decent internet out there.
Yeah, it's off a cell tower. And, once in a while it fails.
You probably have bandwidth caps. That's the biggest problem with cell internet.
Yeah, well, you can have as much as you want to pay for.
Yeah, right.
I
no cap if you're willing to pay for it.
I know. I pay about $35 a month, and that's my, my house internet.
And you get a couple of gigs a month for that, 3 gigs?
I think I get 6.
Oh, that's probably enough for most. Unless you're streaming Netflix every night, that's easily enough.
Well, that's the problem. Netflix, for some reason, it stops and buffers and buffers and buffers and buffers. But I can pick up Amazon Prime, no problem.
Isn't that funny?
It doesn't stop hardly ever. Once in a while, I don't know if just a lot of people are online or what it is, but once in a while the Amazon will be slow. But the Hulu and Netflix, forget about it.
Isn't that interesting? Maybe because the cell provider hasn't paid the baksheesh to Netflix, baksheesh, the bribe to Netflix for higher internet. Netflix, you know, this is kind of an issue. This is what we were talking about with the net neutrality fight. Comcast went to Netflix and said, if you would like to reach our customers with anything near decent bandwidth, you should give us money. And Netflix did.
Wow.
So if you're getting, see, you have enough bandwidth. If Amazon's working fine, you got enough bandwidth to watch Netflix, but apparently Netflix hasn't paid the toll.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
You might have something there.
Yeah.
The one thing I miss about the satellite dish, the only thing I miss about the satellite dish, excuse me, let me rephrase that, is the DVR.
Yeah. Is it dish?
Yeah, my question is there a DVR out there besides TiVo? Because I think TiVo you have to pay a monthly subscription.
You do.
Right?
You do.
Is there any other DVR out there that you don't?
Are you on the Dish network? Who's the satellite network?
I don't have a satellite network.
Oh, you don't have one. You cut the cord, of course. So you want a DVR that'll work with over-the-air television.
Yes, with my antenna.
Yeah. TiVo will, but so will Channel Master.
Channel Master.
And that's designed for over-the-air.
Okay.
And I don't believe they do. Let me ask the chat room because I don't have one. I don't believe they charge a monthly fee. So that's the one you might want to look at. Yeah.
Okay, so TiVo and Channel Master.
Yeah. I have not used Channel Master. TiVo is, in my opinion, the gold standard for digital video recorders.
Okay.
But the monthly fee is a real pain in the tuchus.
How much is its monthly fee?
I can't remember. Is it $15? I paid $250 for a lifetime subscription. That's, by the way, not my lifetime. Oh no, heaven forfend. That's the lifetime of the device.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Lifetime guarantee. As long as the device doesn't break, you're golden.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that a lot of people like Channel Master, and I should really try it. Except we don't get over-the-air signals here. We're too far away from the city.
Okay.
So, but I think that's a good way to go.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Hey, nice to talk to you. Thank you, Ruth. Magnavox still makes. Are they DVD? Yeah, they're DVD recorders. Wow.
You know, something you put me on 2 years ago was weak knees, and I had a TiVo, and I bought at least 3 hard drives, and that you still keep your subscription.
You're right. You can update the hard drive, right?
You know, if you got a problem with the TiVo,
right. Weak Knees is so great. I love Weak Knees. They helped me write the book. I mean, they're just the greatest. Yeah. And you live in Southern California?
No, I live in.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, because they're just. I mean, for our LA listeners, you just walk in. You can bring in your TiVo, and they'll do it right there.
I also bought a DVR for extra DVR for DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
Got the not Roamio. It's Genie system.
Mm-hmm.
And we threw another DVR on there.
Cool. Cool.
It might even be TiVo based at some level. You know, but it's not. It doesn't have their tag on it.
Right. She has a Leaf antenna. It's just a digital HDTV antenna. The Leaf. It looks like a square plate. Oh hell, DDDD! I am fat. What? You know, I can't get mad at her for calling me fat. You sound so thin on the radio. I have a thin voice. It's $50 for the TiVo or for the subscription? I have a manly voice. Very beautiful. So easily the iMac beat this laptop. It's still going. Half an hour later. You were at a restaurant with me? You didn't come say hi? Liz. Liz. Well, I'm very aware of that because myself, when I listen to the radio, I always, in my mind, I see what a person looks like. And it's always a disappointment. You see it every time. People's faces, you meet people and their faces fall. I mean, I don't think I'm hideous. It's not like, ugh. But they imagine you something, you know, probably gorgeous, tall, slim, beautiful, kind of like Heather. And then they see you and they go, oh. Oh.
That doesn't happen to you.
Oh, yeah, people's faces always fall.
No.
Oh. Oh, my God.
Stop.
You're horrible looking. Quasimodo.
Back to the lab with you.
I should talk like this. Yes, master. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, burning down the house. So now I'm concerned after talking to our last caller that perhaps I'm sending a false message on the radio, that I'm telling, they listen to me and they imagine a slender, good-looking fella.
So from now on, I'm going to talk like this, and you will always know when you see me that I look like my voice.
I don't know. What is it? I don't know what an ugly fat person's voice would sound like.
Well,
hello. 8888 Ask Leo. Michael is, oh no, that was Michael. Brad is on the line in Peoria, Illinois. Hello, Brad.
Hi, Leo.
Hi.
I have three things I want to say right quick. First,
Okay.
I always want to say hi to Heather, but she hands off so quick that I didn't get a chance to do it. So, hi, Heather.
Heather, Brad wants to say hi to you. She's saying hi back. She blew you a kiss, Brad.
Oh, my God.
That's better than I ever got. That's awesome.
Go out.
You have a gorgeous voice, Brad.
And, oh, really?
Yes.
And second, around here we say you're in shape, pleasantly plump.
Pleasingly plump. That's it. The shape I'm in is pear.
There you go. Pears are good.
Pears are good.
But actually, I had a statement I had to make. There was a guy who was talking about his fingerprint not reading on.
Yeah. Have you had that problem?
I've never had that problem. Touch ID is great.
That's what I thought.
That's one of the best parts of the iPhone.
Me too. In fact, once you get an iPhone with Touch ID, and I had an older iPad, I was getting so fed up with entering the password, I finally had to upgrade just so I wouldn't have to enter the password. It works every time.
Best invention. But one of your workers said something about using any body part.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. Slow. Don't get me in trouble with the FCC here. But I think it doesn't have to be a fingerprint. It could be maybe your palm. You know, if for instance, you worked in a business where your fingerprints were kind of worn down, maybe you try a knuckle.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I use. I use my knuckle.
Do you?
And it works.
And it works.
I thought I would go a step further and use a different body part.
No, don't, please. Not on this show. We're a family.
No.
You could use a toe. If you happen to have one handy, you'd have to take off your shoe every time you wanted to use Apple Pay. Yeah. Something available.
I use my nose.
No. Does that work?
Yes, it worked.
See, because now the thing, this is kind of surprising because...
It's biometric, right?
Yeah, but I thought it was looking at the ridges of your fingertips.
I don't think so.
It's not. All right, well, I'm going to try this now.
I think maybe that guy has some electrical problems.
Maybe he's has an electric personality.
He might be neutral.
Yeah, he's not. So that actually is a very good question. I just assumed it was looking at the whorls and swirls of your actual fingerprint.
I'm going to do a little research on it, but that kind of shocked me when I said.
So did you actually use your nose, or are you just joking?
I use my nose. I touch it to the sensor, the amount of time you're supposed to do it, and then you're supposed to reposition it and touch it again. And then I shut the phone off, and I tried it.
It works.
I did it again, and it tried to turn it on, so it works.
Wow.
If you use your hands or your fingers.
You should be able to use other body parts, I think. I mean, I know you have prints on your toes, yeah, but that's inconvenient. So it'd be nice if you could use something else.
Yeah.
We were talking off the air because we got an email from somebody. You know, Disney does a fingerprint thing at the Magic Kingdom. I think you get a Disney pass and you identify with a fingerprint. And some people don't want, and I understand why, don't want to give their fingerprints to people, especially if you're going to start using it as a identification. That's one of the nice things Apple does with the iPhone. The Touch ID on the Apple devices doesn't actually record your fingerprint and send it to Apple. It's kind of saves in some way some metadata that it can then compare with the metadata generated the next time. It's not identifying metadata unless you compare it to your fingerprint again, and then you get a match. So they do protect your privacy a little bit. But I remember somebody said, I didn't want to give Disney my fingerprint, so I used my knuckle, right? Now, did that work? Or maybe what you got is a pass that you couldn't use your fingerprint for, and they would have to ask for your ID or something. Yeah, it seems like a knuckle. Well, a knuckle's got some ridges and stuff. It may not be unique. Well, one knuckle looks pretty much like another knuckle. I don't know. Brad, great tips. He says he uses his nose. I want to try that now. Gene's in Buena Park, right up the road from Disneyland. Hi, Gene.
Hi, Leo. Good talking to you.
Good to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
Listen to you quite often on the way home from church on Sunday. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about a website called Super Duper.
Yes.
That backed up operating systems.
It's a program. It's a Mac for Macs. It's software. Yeah.
It's for Mac. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a similar program for PCs?
Oh, there are lots of them. So what Super Duper does that I really like is it will make a bootable copy of the hard drive. So you can use Super Duper on your Macintosh, run it, and have it copy the hard drive to an external drive, and then if something goes wrong with your internal drive, you just plug in that USB drive and boot to it, and it's exactly the same, and that's nice. In fact, Super Duper will continue to keep that up to date. On Windows, because you have Windows. On Windows, that's a good question. If there's something that will do exactly that, I'm going to have to ask our chat room to help me out on this one. What is a program on Windows that will allow you, I presume that's what you want, the ability to make an external bootable copy of your hard drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Always concerned about my computer.
Oh, that's a great idea. And the nice thing about Super Duper, it keeps it up to date. Of course, in Windows, you have these programs that do disk imaging, but it doesn't keep it up to date. It's something like the original was Norton Ghost. We call it ghosting for that reason. But there's DriveSnapshot.de is an excellent one. That'll do it while you're running Windows. Acronis True Image is another one. That's a commercial program that does quite good. But the problem with those, it'll make an image, but then there's no way to update it. That image is frozen in time. I do recommend that, not as a backup exactly. But what I like to do when I get a new computer is I will get it just so, do all the updates. That's the first thing, of course. And then install the software I know I'm going to want. Not everything, but some of the stuff I just expect on every Windows system. Then I make that image, and that becomes my disk installer. I can very quickly get right back to that point by restoring that image. And for that, I typically use Drive Snapshot. There's another one called Disk Imager. There's Ease US makes a program. In fact, the Ease US probably is the closest thing to Super Duper. EaseUS.com, and they have a to-do backup program that is probably the closest thing. There's nothing, as far as I know, exactly like Super Duper, but their to-do backup is pretty close. And they have, go ahead.
EaseUS.com,
yeah,
EASE?
EaseUS.com, and they have a free version, and then you can buy it for $29 or $39, but they do have a free version as well. And it will, the nice thing about it, it will do the imaging, but will also keep it. I think they have a system that will add, what you want is incremental updates, because after you make that first image, that perfect image, things happen, things change. You create documents and so forth. For that, I would use some sort of standard backup solution, because you still have that primary ghost.
I do use Carbonite, and
good man.
I have an external hard drive as well.
Yeah.
For 19 years, I was on a ship reunion association and kind of the secretary and registrar, and I did a lot of research and got in excess of 3,000, the names of 3,000 over.
Oh, you don't want to lose that.
And I didn't want to lose that.
No, please, please, yeah. I'm glad you got the backup. Hey, I got to run. I'm sorry that clock's running out. But thank you for the call, and thank you for caring about backup. It's very important. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, I'm going to try it. Okay. Okay. Touch ID and passcode. All right. Okay. Add a fingerprint. Lift and raise your finger on the home button repeatedly. It's not even... oh, well, yeah. It's registering it. Oh, my God, it's working.
The problem is anybody's nose might be.
Well, we're going to try this because I'm going to give it to you and see if your nose can get in. All right. Keep finger on the home button until asked to lift. I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry. Finger moved. This is silly.
Yeah, you look pretty silly going into checkout. Go to the checkout counter.
Wait a minute, I'm going to give you my Touch ID here.
I don't know if it'll work the same when it's cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Your pores might be too
Could you... oh, the tip of my tongue. No, that's wet. Couldn't do the tip of your tongue. Gosh, it really wants a lot of data here.
I'll be able to get video of this, I hope.
It's going, you have no fingerprints. It's filling it in the red thing. Oh, adjust your grip. Oh, Lord.
No snorting allowed.
Oh, yeah. Gee. Oh, great Steve Jobs in the sky. I beseech thee, accept my nose print.
It's a different angle, all right. It's actually a great question. Oh, I'm getting tired. Wow, it takes a lot of training. Then I'm going to do a knuckle.
Yeah, knuckle.
Yeah. It seems to think we're getting a print of some kind, see? I don't understand what it thinks we're getting, but... Whoops. Oops, you clicked. Yeah, I know. I know, I clicked. I'm kowtowing to the great iOS gods. Oh, continue. Okay. Let's name that. We don't want to accidentally forget. Nose. Done. All right. Now, here's the test. Turn it off. Forgot how to turn it off. Okay. It says, okay, let me in. Oh, crap. Oh, come on.
All the geniuses will have to try it.
Nope. Won't work. Oh, well.
We're all lucky.
Okay. So, at least for me, the nose was not a success.
Hopefully that means it works.
So now we know. So apparently 9 to 5. What restaurant was that, Elizabeth? You should have come over. Said hi. This is a 5S. Oh, I remember reading this article. Toe, yes. No, nose does not work. Cat's paw. Oh, Lord. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So we've been, contemplating what other body parts you could use for the fingerprint sensor on an iPad or an iPhone. And I tried my nose, and I was able to register my nose by dint of great effort. You have to touch it a lot, but I couldn't use it to get back in. So I think the nose doesn't work. Now, according to 9 to 5 Mac, but this was with the iPhone 5S. Maybe they've improved it now. But you could use your toe, your cat's paw, and other things to unlock it. I don't know. My nose is not a reliable choice. I don't know. You know, it's interesting because I don't know exactly what it's recording. I always just thought it was the whirls and the dips on your finger, but maybe it's something else. Back to the phones we go. Jake is in San Diego, our next caller. Hi, Jake. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah, about fingerprint readers.
Yes, sir.
At the NWC in Barcelona, early March, Qualcomm introduced a new technology. It's called 3D ultrasonic reading. It's non-touch. It doesn't require touch. And since it's 3D, it reads, you know, not just the surface that would be touched, or not just the part of your finger that would be touched. It evidently wraps around to a certain degree, and it claims to be able to read, you know, if the fingers are wet and maybe dirty and things like that. So it's called Sense ID, just to make things a little bit more confusing, you know.
Well, you know, we need to solve this problem. This is a very useful technique for second-factor authentication, you know.
Well, they're evidently working with the government, and Qualcomm, like Apple, bought a company that was developing this, and they're evidently working with government contracts. The government wants 5-finger touch, or 5-finger ID.
Well, you know what? You know what they do in a lot of places with the palm reader. They don't measure fingerprints. They're actually measuring metrics. The metrics of your hand are unique, and so they measure that. So, yeah, this is interesting.
I have only used the fingerprint reader on ThinkPad computers, you know, and you have to swipe the finger there.
Right.
But the description of this in the press release, and that's all I've seen about it. I haven't seen any tests or delivery, you know, projected delivery dates or anything like that. But the description of it sounds very promising to overcome some of the limitations of, you know, touching.
Right.
The having to swipe it or press your fingerprint down on a surface.
We've gotten much better. You know, if you use the Lenovo or the other laptop fingerprint readers, they weren't very accurate. They did require a swipe. In fact, Samsung's did on both the Galaxy S5 and the Note 4, so I was very pleased. In this new S6, you just touch it just as you do an Apple Touch ID. It seems to take a little longer than Touch ID. Touch ID is almost instant, but it does work, and it does seem to work reliably and consistently. And that's mostly the key, that nobody else's fingerprint works and that it is reliable, that your fingerprint works 100% or at least close to 100% of the time. And Samsung has definitely improved it. I'll be very curious to see what Qualcomm does. Of course, Qualcomm makes the chips that is in almost all the smartphones made today. So,
well, Leo, the technology is in all 100% of smartphones because, by definition, they start using 3G, not TDMA-based GSM, which is really like comparing analog to digital.
Right.
Because you know, GSM, TDMA-based GMS is on its way out. Both Verizon and AT&T have already announced.
Everything's going LTE now, thank goodness.
Well, yeah, but 3G will be around for many years. It's going to be around for 5 years or so. Look how long TDMA has been out in the early 90s.
Yeah, but they eventually do it. They cut out analog cell phones. You can't use your old, you know, your 10-year-old cell phone anymore at all.
Well, Japan and Korea dumped 2G in the early 2000s.
Right.
So
it's always a challenge. You don't want to frustrate people. You know, we were talking at the beginning of the show how Apple is updating OS 10 for a very severe security flaw, but only the latest version of OS 10. If you have Mavericks or earlier, you won't get updated. And that's really a challenge. On the one hand, you can see why Apple wants to say, well, you know, we can't support you forever. But for 6 months, I would hope. So, you know, every company has its own standard for this.
One last thing, Leo. The competition between Verizon and Sprint's CDMA is not GSM because GSM is only for voice and texting. It's CDMA versus WCDMA for 3G.
Right.
So it's all CDMA. It's just the wideband is just a slightly different flavor, but Qualcomm is the dominant player in all 3G.
Absolutely.
And 4G.
It's interesting because this new Samsung Galaxy S6 is, to my knowledge, the first time Samsung has used its own Exynos chips and system on a chip.
It's not the first time. About 4 years ago, they did it, and the Exynos was so bad that they had to recall them, and they switched over to Snapdragon.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they've used Snapdragon in the U.S. right up till now, but then this is the first since then, I guess.
Leo, that's only for AT&T and T-Mobile. The Sprint has already leaked. It's not really a memo. It's in an odd format. But it said that for Sprint and Verizon, well, they didn't say Verizon, but for Sprint, it's going to be Snapdragons.
Yeah.
810.
Again, probably because they want the CDMA capabilities.
Well, yeah, there's 700 million subscribers globally, and there are 55 U.S. carriers for CDMA, and another 5 or 6 in Canada for a total of about 61.
You must work in the business, Jake. You're obviously very up on the cell phone industry.
I've been writing about mobile wireless access to the web since 1999.
Ah, you have been.
I don't write for publication anymore. I just send what I'm doing as far as investing in Qualcomm. The other major global monopoly, which is Taser.
You just said something I didn't understand.
Sorry, my Google decided to listen. I don't. Shh, quiet. I'm talking. Thank you, JK. Great to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Great information. Yeah, MWC's Mobile World Congress, the big cell phone conference, which was last month. That's when we saw the first time the Galaxy S6 and the S6 Edge. And I have to say, now I bought it the soonest I could, and I've been carrying it around for the last 5 days, and I have to say I love it. Wish the battery life were better. Very interested in battery life. Google has revealed that it's been doing a lot of research on improving battery life with lithium-ion batteries and later technologies. We're waiting to see at the end of the month. Elon Musk says, I'm going to have a huge announcement from Tesla, and it won't be a car. Already the stock market reacting to that. And a lot of people think it's going to be a battery of some kind. Tesla is already building a massive lithium-ion battery factory because, of course, for their cars, they're one of the biggest consumers of those. We could really use some better battery technology, I have to say. It's wonderful to have a thin, light, elegant-looking phone, but if it only lasts 10 hours, I guess I'm going to have to buy 2 of them. Maybe that's their plan. I think we are running out of time. I don't know if I'm going to get to Bill and Mesa, but let me just say this about battery, Bill. Your netbook's old enough now that it's probably reached its maximum number of cycles. Every lithium-ion battery can only be charged a certain number of times, typically around 500. At that point, it won't hold a charge. And batteries do leak. They leak a little bit, even if they're not in use, especially on modern laptops that often continue to do stuff, even when the laptop's closed. So my suggestion is get a new battery. The problem is on a netbook, it was so cheap to begin with, it really isn't worth putting more money into it. So at this point, once the battery's dead on a netbook, I think it's time to get a new netbook. Nathan Staten, musical director, thank you for a good job, a good weekend. You too, Heather Hammond, our phone ranger. Thanks to all of you for joining me. Don't forget the website, open all week long, techguylabs.com. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.